Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Kyuubi protects neglected Naruto from villagers part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Konohagaku no Sato, October 10th. It was October 10th, and in Konohagaku no Sato, or Konoha for short, the annual celebration of the defeat of the Kyuubi no Kitsune or nine-tailed demon fox 5 years ago was in full swing. However, one person in particular was not celebrating, no, quite the opposite. In fact, his was running for his life. This person was none other than 5-year-old Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, son of the Yondaime Hokage Minato Namikaze and his wife Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze, and the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. Not that he knew any of that. Now you are probably wondering, how does he contain the Kyuubi when it was killed 5 years ago? Well, the Kyuubi is what is known as a biju, which are near infinite amounts of chakra and yuki given form, which makes it impossible to kill them, so they can only be sealed. However, due to the Kyuubi being the strongest of the biju, it can only be sealed in a newborn baby, and Naruto was the only baby born on October 10th when the Kyuubi attacked, so the Yondaime Hokage Minato Namikaze was forced to seal the Kyuubi into Naruto, which resulted in the death of not only himself but also Kushina, leaving Naruto an orphan. The Sandaime Hokage Hiruzen Sarutobi was forced to retake the position of Hokage and tried to keep Naruto safe by keeping his status as the container of the Kyuubi a secret, but the civilian council found out and spread the word. In response, Hiruzen created a law that prevented the adults from telling the younger generation, so Naruto could at least have a chance at making friends. However, that didn't stop some of the more violent people from sometimes hunting the boy down to try and kill the demon, which leads us to where we are now. Naruto was running from another mob of people trying to kill him when he ran into a dead end. This way he went in here, yelled one of the people of the mob chasing Naruto. Shit, they are getting closer, and I'm trapped, thought Naruto frantically when he suddenly hears a voice, hold on kid. Suddenly everything goes black. Mindscape. Drip drip. Drip. Ah, what the hell? Naruto opens his eyes to see himself in what looks like a sewer. Great, the villagers must have caught me and threw me in the sewer again. Well, might as well get up and get out of here. Naruto begins to get up when he hears a voice from behind him, come this way kid, it's time for us to meet. Naruto turns around to see a large gate with a piece of paper on it that reads seal and walks towards it when he notices a huge fox with 9 tails behind it. Kyuubi! He screams and falls back. Yes kid, I am the Kyuubi no Kitsune, and we are in your mindscape now. You are probably wondering why you are here and how I am here at this. Naruto just nods. Well kid, the story begins back when the first Hokage Hashirama Senju fought Madara Uchiha at the Valley of the End. Madara somehow managed to summon me from my den, and then used that damned hack's eyes of his, the Sharingan, to control me to fight for him. However, Hashirama's wife Mito Uzumaki was able to use her mastery of seals to seal me within herself. After the battle was over and both Madara and Hashirama were dead, Mito returned to the village and lived her life, and over time me and her would sometimes talk to each other in her mindscape. However, time passed and Mito grew older to the point where she was nearing end, and we began to talk about what would happen when she died. We had discovered that when she dies I would be free again, and upon realizing this we decided that if I was free somebody might control me again someday and cause more destruction, so we decided that I would be transferred into someone else before Mito died. This led to Mito choosing a young girl named Kushina Uzumaki to become my next container. She was your mother kid. At this, Naruto's eyes widened and small tears formed at the corners of them. Yes, your mother was my container before you, kid. Over time she would come into her mindscape and we would talk about various things like her life, the status of the world outside the seal, and other things. And we grew close to the point where we saw each other as sisters. Naruto begins to open his mouth to ask a question, but Kyuubi cuts him off. Yes kid, I am a girl. One day she told me about how she fell in love with a young man by the name of Minato Namikaze and how they got married. She even brought him into her mindscape sometimes to talk to me. At first I didn't like him, but after talking with him grew to like him and see him as a little brother. One day they both came in and told me that Kushina was pregnant. At this, Naruto suddenly interrupts, but wait, if Kushina was my mother then that would mean that Minato Namikaze is my father, but he was the Yondaime Hokage. Yes kid, Minato Namikaze is your father. Now please don't interrupt again. Now, after telling me that Kushina was pregnant, we started celebrating. When we were done I told you parents that I would like to give you a gift. Of course they asked why I would do this, and I simply said that they were the closest thing I have ever had to a family, and any child of theirs I would also consider family. They asked what the gift was and I told them of a bloodline that I had created using the remains of creatures that I came across when I was young. Needless to say they were shocked and honored and accepted, so I began to implant the bloodline into your DNA. However, the night you were born tragedy struck. At this the Kyuubi lowers her head for a moment, so Naruto asks what happened. After a moment the Kyuubi continues her story. It's a known fact that when a female Jinchuriki is giving birth, the seal containing the biju sealed within her weakens, so extra precautions are taken due to this. When your mother went into labor it was kept secret except for the few people who would to be on hand to help deliver you, which included your father and few others. However, somehow the secret was let out, and a man came right after you were born and held you hostage before kidnapping your mother and extracting me from her. He then placed me under a genjutsu just like Madara did and forced me to attack Konoha. Your father was able to lead me away from Konoha to where your mother, and you were in hopes of sealing me back into your mother. But due to just giving birth and having me ripped from her, she was too weak, so he had to seal me into you. Your mother used a special ability of hers to create chakra chains to hold me down while your father prepared everything. But as he was sealing me into you, I broke free for a second, and in my state I lashed out toward you, and your parents got in the way and were fatally wounded by one of my claws. It was then that I finally broke free from the Genjutsu and noticed what I had down. A tear trails down Kyuubi's cheek, and Naruto walks up and hugs her as best he can despite her size. It's all right, Kyu-chan, I don't blame you for your actions, he says with a small smile on his face. Thank you, Kit. Now, after realizing what I had done, I began to panic, but your parents said it was alright and that it wasn't my fault. Your father then completed the seal, and I was sealed in you. However, I was able to hear what was happening outside due to the seal being just finished, and heard the Sandaime Hokage talk to your father just before he passed. His dying wish was that you've been seen as a hero. For the next 5 years I waited for the day when we would be able to meet, and I would be able to activate your bloodline if you wanted me to. Naruto was speechless after hearing all this. Leering, he had parents who not only loved him but gave their lives to save him, that his father was the Yondaime Hokage, that he had the Kyuubi sealed in him, and that he had a bloodline waiting to be activated, but realized that he would follow in his parents' footsteps and protect the village just like they had. With determination in his eyes, he then spoke, Kyuubi, please activate my bloodline. My parents gave their lives to not only protect me but also the village, so I will follow in their footsteps. I will use this gift from you to protect those who are precious to me like my parents did before me, and that includes you. Kyuubi was stunned by Naruto's words and simply thought, Kushina, Minato, you would be so proud of your son, so young and already so strong. After a moment, Kyuubi smiles before saying, Kit, your parents would be so proud of you already, just as I am. Get ready, I'm going to activate your bloodline, but it's going to hurt. Oh, and Kit, call me Akane, it's my true name. Okay, Akane-chan, let's do this. Alright, Kit, here goes. Brace yourself, Akane says before activating his bloodline, and Naruto feels like fire is flowing through his soul before leaving the mindscape. Outside mindscape. Naruto exits his mindscape to find himself lying on the ground in the alley with the mob of villagers approaching before getting up and letting out a scream that begins to sound like a roar. His face gets longer, his teeth lengthen and turn to fangs, his spine gets longer and forms a tail, his fingers and toes turn into claws, his skin becomes hard, dry, bumpy, and leathery. And finally he grows in size, his head and body get taller and longer and larger till he was easily reaching 20 foot tall and at least 40 feet long from nose to tail, his orange jumpsuit just hanging from his arms. As this was happening, the mob of villagers just stood there watching the demon brat become this thing before one of them finally snaps out of it and yells. The demon is finally showing its true colors, kill it, which snaps the others out of their shock and they begin to charge at Naruto. Naruto turns and looks at the mob, says oh no, but it comes out as Ruhama. The mob charges at him, tried to injure him with knives, sword, kunai, and other various sharp objects which just bounce off his skin. A shinobi in the mob coats his kunai in wind chakra before stabbing Naruto with it, and ends up piercing about 3 inches into his skin, causing him to bleed slightly. Naruto lets out a roar before turning to the shinobi. He lets out a mighty roar ROAR before leaning down and lunging forward, snatching the man by the waist in his mouth. The man screams before Naruto chomps down, biting the man in half with a loud crunch. The man's legs and upper torso fall to the ground with a wet plop, and the rest of the mob screams before trying to run. Naruto hears the scream and turns toward the rest of the mob, blood dripping from his mouth and teeth, before lunging at the mob and begins to tear them apart, squishing some underfoot, slamming others into the alley's walls with his massive tail, ripping others apart with his jaws, all the while names and pictures passing through his mind: Tyrannosaurus Rex, Velociraptor, Stegosaurus, Triceratops, Apatosaurus, Dilophosaurus, Pterodactyl, Procompsognathus, and finally Diabolus Rex. As this was happening, two Umbu, one with an Inu mask, the other with a Hibi mask, watch in horror and amazement. The Umbu with the Inu mask summons a dog and sends it to get the Hokage. Naruto finishes killing the last person in the mob when he hears someone appear and looks to see the Hokage standing before him with the Inu and Hibi masked Umbu. The Hokage looks at the scene before him, blood and body parts everywhere, and a huge creature standing there looking at him, blood dripping from its mouth and fangs, and an orange jumpsuit just barely hanging onto its little arms, and recognizes it as Naruto's. Naruto, is that you? The Sandaime asks the creature before him begins to shrink and change, revealing Naruto barely clothed. GG Hibi-chan, is that you? Naruto asks before falling to his knees. Hibi rushes over and catches him before he hits the Goron. Naruto looks at Hibi before placing his hand on the side of her masks and gives both, smiling and giving her forehead a kiss. Thanks Hibi-chan, what would I do without you? Hibi chuckles, you're welcome kiddo, but how about you treat me to some dango to pay me back? Naruto smiles, sure thing Hibi-chan, all you can eat. Naruto looks at the Sandaime before saying, I know who my parents are, about my tenant, and unlock my bloodline, but we're going to need to go to your office to talk about it more. Hibi-chan and Inu-san must be there with us. The Sandaime is shocked but recomposes himself before saying, okay Naruto, Hibi Inu. Come with along. He then snaps his fingers and Umbu with a weasel mask appears. Yes, Hokage-sama. The Sandaime looks at Weasel before saying, I need you to clean the alley up, make sure there is nothing left of body's blood, and do not tell anyone what you have seen here tonight. Is that understood? The Umbu salutes before saying, of course, Hokage-sama, and tell Naruto I'm sorry I wasn't there for him tonight. The Sandaime nods his head, of course, Itachi, and then leaves with Naruto, Hibi, and Inu. When they reach the Hokage's office, Hibi sets Naruto on couch before sitting next to him. Inu leans up against the wall, and the Sandaime sits behind his desk before dismissing the hidden Umbu in the room and acting a privacy seal. Okay, Naruto, can you tell me what happened tonight? Naruto holds Hibi's hand, looks at the Sandaime, and nods. Okay, Gigi, but can Hibi and Inu remove their masks? I already know who they are. The Sandaime nods and Inu removes his mask, revealing a man in his mid-20s with a cloth mask covering the lower half of his face, his leaf headband over his left eye, and silver gravity-defying hair. This is Kakashi Hatake. Hibi then removes her mask, revealing a beautiful young woman between 16 to 18 years old with pupilless chocolate brown eyes and beautiful violet hair pulled into a pineapple-shaped ponytail. This is Anko Midarashi. Naruto smiles at Anko before giving her cheek a kiss, causing her to blush slightly before he turns to the Sandaime and continues his story. It started when, and then proceeds to tell him everything that happened from being chased into that alley by the mob, meeting the Kyuubi, her telling him her story and about his parents, the relationship between them and herself, along with how she gave him his bloodline, how he left his mindscape and turned into the creature which he is calling a dinosaur, how he defended himself from the mob before Hibi Inu, Hiruzen himself showed up. When he is done, everyone is speechless with there was on the ground before Anko snaps out of it and yells, hell yeah, the strongest being alive is a female. Take that, sexist. This proceeds to snap Kakashi and Hiruzen out of their shock state, and the Sandaime finally says, I'm getting too old for this shit. Okay, I'm classifying everything said here as a S-rank secret. Now Naruto, what do you want to do? Naruto thinks for a second before saying, well, Gigi, I want to make my parents proud and protect the village and my precious people like you. I am Chan, Tuchi Aji-san, and Anko-chan, so I want to be a shinobi. Hiruzen smiles and thinks, Minato Kushina, you would be so proud of your son. Okay, Naruto, so you want to join the academy? Naruto shakes his head. Actually, Gigi, I was hoping Anko-chan would teach me, since the academy teachers would try to sabotage my learning, and it would allow me to train with my bloodline and learn what I can with it. Plus, Akane-chan said she wants to train me in some of her kitsune and Akuma styles. The Hokage and Kakashi look amazed by how much thought he has put into this in such a short amount of time, while Anko has a slight blush due to Naruto wanting her to be his teacher. After a few minutes of thinking, the Sandaime finally speaks. Okay, Naruto, you have a good point. Anko can train you, but you will have to graduate with your age group. Naruto smiles brightly and nods his head. Thanks, Gigi, just you wait, by the time my age group graduates I will be really strong, that way I can protect my precious people. The Sandaime smiles and looks to Anko. Anko, starting first thing in the morning you are to begin training Naruto. You have my permission to use training ground 44. Actually, I would recommend you use it, and both of you live in the tower at the center of it, that way we can keep not only his bloodline a secret for as long as possible, but also the fact that he is training so early. Anko nods. Of course, old man, I was planning on doing that anyway. Come on, Naruto, let's go get some rest before your torture training. Yet training starts tomorrow. She then grabs Naruto and both leave in a shushin. Kakashi nods to the Sandaime and leaves himself. Hiruzen leans back in his chair. So what do you think of all this, Jiraiya? The wall next to the window shimmers before revealing a tall man with white spike hair, wearing wooden clogs, a red kabuki-style outfit with a large scroll tied to the back of his waist, and a headband that reads oil on it. Jiraiya thinks for a minute. Well, sensei, if he is anything like Minato and Kushina, then he is going to be a powerhouse in the near future. Then there is the Kyuubi and her story. I believe it. Minato once told me about when he went with Kushina into her mindscape and met her and befriended her, which made the whole her attacking Konoha for no reason so fishy in the first place, seeing how she loved Kushina and Minato like siblings. Then there is that bloodline of his. It's amazing. So if you add all this up, he could very easily be the strongest person to walk the elemental nations since the Sage of Six Paths, which adds more evidence to him being the child of prophecy that the Elder Toad spoke of. The Sandaime nods his head. That's what I thought too, Jiraiya. Jiraiya smiles and hands the Sandaime a scroll. Well, here is the latest info from my sources, sensei. Now if you'll excuse me, I have some research to do. He then giggles perversely and leaves through the window. The Sandaime wipes a little blood from his nose. It chuckles before getting up and looking out the window and thinks, Naruto, you are already so strong for dealing with how the idiots of this village treat you, and you will only continue to grow stronger from now on, and I'm sure your parents are already proud of you. I know I am. The next morning, Naruto wakes up to feel something snuggling his left side and looks over to see Anko using him like a body pillow. A small smile comes to his face as he thinks she really is just like a tilly kid. At times like this, he wiggles out of Anko's grip before placing a pillow in his place so she won't wake up before walking out of the bedroom and towards the kitchen to make breakfast. Anko wakes to the smell of something delicious and gets up, noticing Naruto isn't in bed anymore. As she walks to kitchen to see Naruto cooking breakfast, she yawns before asking Naruto, "Good morning Naruto, what's for breakfast?" and sits down at the table. A small sly smile comes to Naruto's face before answering, "Well, Enko-chan, we have an egg omelet with cheese, onions, sausage, toast, slices of bacon, and last but not least we have." Enko's eyes widen with each thing he lists off before getting impatient that he is stalling. "Okay, what's the last thing we're having?" Another sly smile comes to Naruto's face. "Well, the last thing is some of my special Naruto dango." As soon he finishes, Enko jumps from her chair and glomps him. "Oh Naruto-kun, you spoil me." He smiles. "Of course I do Enko-chan, but you're worth it. Now let's eat before starting my training." Enko nods, and they eat breakfast. After finishing breakfast, both of them showering and getting dressed, they leave the tower to start training. Enko turns to Naruto. "Okay Naruto, let's start by unlocking you chakra." Naruto nods and forms the Ram seal and concentrating. After a minute or so, a massive burst of chakra erupts around him, nearly knocking Enko off her feet before dying down. Enko stands there with her jaw on the ground thinking, "Holy shiki, that was more chakra than my entire reserves, and he is only 5 years old." After recovering from her shocked state, Enko looks at Naruto and smiles. "Well Naruto-kun, you certainly full of surprises, cause you just released more chakra than I have in my entire reserves. Now that you have unlocked your chakra, the torture training can finally begin." She then smiles sadistically. "Get ready Naruto, cause the fun is about to start." Naruto merely gulps before thinking, "Well, I did ask for this, so who am I to complain?" He nods before saying, "I'm ready Enko-sensei, let's start." And so began Naruto's 8 years of torture training. 1 month later. Naruto had been training with Enko for a month, learning various things including taijutsu, ninjutsu, kenjutsu, shurikenjutsu, tactics, stealth, and traps. Akane-chan had been teaching him her kitsune and akuma styles in his mindscape at night, along with how to use his bloodline, which he had named Saurian Soul. And one night, while doing some late-night training in his bloodline, he noticed something that set for a series of events that would change the lives of more people than he knew. Naruto was training in the newest form of his bloodline that he had unlocked. It was medium-sized at about 6 to 8 feet tall and about 12 feet long. Its body was lean while at the same time muscular. His teeth were medium-sized backwards facing like snake fangs and razor-sharp. His arms were medium length and had 3 claws for fingers. But the most intimidating feature of the form was the 2 6-inch-long claws on his feet, one on each foot, from what he remembered when the images and names passed through his mind a month earlier. This dinosaur was called a velociraptor, liked to hunt in packs, and was incredibly smart. Naruto was running through the forest of death in his velociraptor form, getting used to its speed, evasiveness, and enhanced senses, hunting a boar so that he could make Enko something special for dinner due to it being the 1-month anniversary of when they started training, when he smelled something strange coming from the direction of the Hyuga compound. It smelled of fear, and considering it was heading away from the compound, he figured it something was wrong and headed out to see what was happening. 5 minutes earlier. A tall man dressed in all black with Kyuubi headband was running from the Hyuga compound with a large sack over his shoulder. And said sack was 5-year-old Hinata Hyuga, firstborn daughter of clan head Hayashi Hyuga. She had been sleeping when a man came into her room and kidnapped her, and was now taking her who knows where to do who knows what to her, and she was terrified, praying that anyone would come save her. The man smirked, thinking how easy it had been to kidnap the young Hyuga heiress so that Kyuubi would finally get the Byakugan bloodline. He had been given a mission by the village's council to pose as the ambassador of the village and go to Konoha to talk about establishing a peace treaty as cover to sneak and kidnap the young Hyuga heiress. He had already kidnapped the young girl and was on his way to Kyuubi when he noticed something up ahead. It looked like some kind of large bipedal lizard-like thing that had 3 claws on each hand, and on each foot was a long, menacing-looking claw in addition to the others. It just stood there looking at him. Naruto had made it back to village fairly quickly and noticed a tall man in black with a large sack over his shoulder that was the source of the fear he smelled earlier, and instantly realized that someone was being kidnapped by this man, so he quickly thought of a plan and put it into action. He created 2 shadow clones, glad that Enko had taught him the jutsu, and due to him using it so much had mastered it, making him able to do it without having to use hand seals. He mentally commanded the 2 velociraptor clones of himself to take up a pincer formation around the man. After they left, he stood out in the open and looked at the man. The man looked at the creature before him for a minute before deciding enough was enough. "I don't know what you are, but you best get out of here before I kill." The creature just tilted its head to the side. The man set the sack down and took out a kunai. "Fine, have it your way, don't say I didn't warn you," and charged at the creature. As he made it to the halfway point between them, he thought, "Stupid creature doesn't stand a chance, should have just left. Better finish this quick before anyone shows up." All these thoughts were running through his head as he got closer and closer. He never noticed the 2 shadows come out on either side of him. He never noticed them get closer to him. He never noticed one jump into the air with its feet forward. He never noticed the other slash his abdomen. He never noticed the one in the air descend upon him and tear into his flesh. He never noticed the look in the eyes of the one in front of him that said "Gotcha." He never noticed any of these things until it was too late. He felt his abdomen get sliced open. He felt the large claws of the one in the air slice into his back and pin him to the ground. He felt the teeth of the one his back grip the back of his neck. He felt fear as the pressure increased. He felt that his neck start to twist as the creature turned its head sharply. Then he felt no more as his neck snapped, severing his spine from his brain, killing him. Naruto looked at the man before him, dead from his clones, snapping his neck before dismissing his clones, tilting his head towards the sky and letting out a roar, that coughing like one that velociraptors do in the movies, before changing back to his normal form and walking over to the sack and opening it. Hinata was terrified. The man had set her down, and then she heard him saying something, and then everything was quiet. She heard footsteps walking toward her before opening the bag. She expected to see the scary man that had put her in the bag, not a boy that had sunblonde hair, the most beautiful blue eyes she had ever seen, 3 whisker-like marks on each cheek, smiling at her as he helped her out of the bag. Naruto helped the girl out of the bag as he took in her appearance. She had midnight blue hair cut into a Heim style. Her eyes were a beautiful white with hints of lavender, and had no pupils. She had on lavender pajamas. He smiled at her. "Are you alright?" She nods. "Good, now let's get you home. I'm sure that everyone is worried about you." He grabs her hand, not noticing the blush on her face. "My name is Naruto Uzumaki, by the way, what's yours?" She blushes a little more before answering. "Hinata Hyuga." He smiles. "Nice to meet you, Hinata-chan." They walk for a little while before they see a man that looks like an older version of Hinata, but male obviously. The man notices them and runs towards them. "Hinata, there you are. What happened? And who is this?" Hinata proceeds to tell the man what happened while Naruto just stands there waiting till she is done. After Hinata finishes telling the man what happened, he turns towards Naruto. "Is what she true, young man?" Naruto nods. "Yes sir, I was out walking and enjoying the night when I noticed a man in all black running with a sack over his shoulder that was moving like someone inside, and went after him. I then confronted said man and let Hinata-chan out of the bag before walking her back home, in which you saw us." The man in front of him looks skeptical, so he continues, "If you are having a hard time believing me, you can have someone go check the way we came from. They will find the man on the ground in the middle of the street. Meanwhile, you and I can go with you to see the Hokage, where things will be explained further." The man thinks for a second before nodding. Naruto notices 2 more men appear next to him. One looks just like the man in front of him. The man turns toward the man that looks like him. "Hisashi, go check up the road to see if there's a man lying in the center of the street, and if so, bring him to Inoichi at the INT." Hisashi nods and leaves. He then turns toward the other man. "Go take Hinata home and inform Hitomi what happened." The other man nods before leaving with Hinata. The man then turns toward Naruto. "Come along, Naruto, let's go talk to the Hokage." Naruto's eyes widen. "You know who I am?" The man chuckles. "Of course, I doubt there is anyone in the village that doesn't know who you are. And I must say that prank you played on the civilian council was very funny." Naruto smiles and rubs the back of his head. "Thanks, they had it coming." The man smiles. "That they did, Naruto, that they did." Naruto and the man reached the Hokage's office and entered to see the Sandame doing paperwork before looking up. Hayashi." "Naruto, what can I do for you?" The now named Hayashi bows before speaking. "Hokage Sama, earlier tonight my daughter Hinata was taken from her room by someone, and after searching I discovered young Naruto here walking her back home, at which time I questioned him, and he told me how he was out for a walk when he noticed a man in black carrying a bag that was moving and proceed to confront the man and rescued Hinata." At this the Hokage's eyes widen and Naruto rubs the back of his head sheepishly. Hayashi then continues, "Now after hearing young Naruto's story I was a little skeptical and said that we should talk to you about it, and after having co-escort Hinata home, and my brother Hisashi go see if there was in fact a body down the road we came here." The Hokage then turns to Naruto. "Naruto, is what Hayashi said true?" Naruto nods his head. "Yeah, Gigi, I was out training in that when I noticed a man and confronted him like Hayashi-san said, before letting Hinata-chan out of the bag and walking her home. When Hayashi-san saw us, Hayashi raises an eyebrow at the mention of that, wondering what it meant, but decided to wait to ask." The doors to the Hokage's office then open to reveal Hisashi, who walks in and bows to the Hokage and Hayashi before smiling at Naruto. "I have just finished my task, Hayashi, and like young Naruto said, there was in fact a man's body down the road along with a sack that had residual amounts of Hinata's chakra in it. Upon bringing the body, which I might add was in my own opinion very effectively killed, to Inoichi-sen he used his clan's mind walk jutsu to enter the man's mind and found out that he was a shinobi from Kyuubi that had orders from their council to pose as an ambassador to discuss a peace treaty in order to kidnap a main branch Hyuga to be brought back so that they could have the Byakugan. All of this, however, went on with behind the back of the Yondaime Reikage." He finished. The Hokage then nods his head. "Thank you, Hisashi, you may return home." Hisashi then bows before leaving. The Hokage turns toward Naruto and smiles. "Well done, Naruto, you saved somebody from a fate worse than death tonight. I am very proud of you." Naruto smiles. "No problem, Gigi, I'm just glad Hinata-chan is safe. She seems like a nice person." He finishes while the Hokage and Hayashi smile. Hayashi then asks the Hokage, "Hokage-sama, if I may, what is this that Naruto referred to earlier?" The Hokage looks to Naruto, who nods. He then dismisses the umbu in the room before setting up a privacy seal. "Hayashi, what we are about to tell you is a S-rank secret not to be told to anyone." Hayashi nods. The Hokage and Naruto then proceed to tell Hayashi about everything, including Naruto's heritage, his bloodline, how the Kyuubi really is, the night of his birth, his secret training with Anko. Nothing is left out, and by the end of it Hayashi's jaw is on the floor. He then turns toward Naruto. Wait, you're Minato and Kushina's son? Naruto nods. Naruto, your father was not only my best friend, but your mother was best friends with my wife Hitomi. When the four of us found out that both your mother and my wife were pregnant, and that you were going to be a boy while me and my wife were having a girl, the four of us decided to form a marriage contract between you and Hinata. At this, Naruto's eyes widen. That's right, Naruto, you and Hinata are engaged to each other. Naruto thinks for a moment. Hayashi-san, while I'm honored to be engaged to Hinata, I will not marry someone unless it is out of love, and both of us love each other and therefore will not marry Hinata unless such a thing happens. At this, Hayashi eyes widen. However, that does not mean that I will not give Hinata a chance. From the short amount of time that I have known her, I can already tell you she is a great person, and anyone she falls in love with will be the luckiest man in all of the elemental nations. What I propose is that we keep my engagement to her a secret. That way her and I get to know each other, and if we end up loving each other, we will know the love between us is real and not due to the contract, and then the contract is fulfilled. And if we don't, then she will never know and go on with her life. Her happiness is more important than some contract. He finishes with a smile. Hayashi and the Hokage are stunned before both smile, thinking the same thing. Minato, Kushina, your son is already such a great person. Hayashi then speaks. Naruto, I see so much of your parents in you. You have your father's intellect and compassion, and your mother's kind heart. Very well, we will keep the engagement a secret from Hinata so that if you both fall in love it will be genuine. He then turns toward the Hokage and bows. I will take my leave, Hokage-sama. Before leaving, Hiruzen looks toward Naruto. Naruto, you truly are one of a kind. Naruto smiles and rubs the back of his head. Well, Gigi, of course I am. I am me after all. The Hokage chuckles. That you are, Naruto, that you are. Now I think it's time you go and see Anko. I'm sure she is worried about you. Naruto pales, thinking that, well, Gigi gotta go see ya. He then leaves so fast you would swear he was using the Hiraishin as you saw him. Naruto returns to the tower and sneaks in, hoping Anko is asleep, when suddenly the lights turn on to show Anko standing there with her arms crossed, tapping her foot. Well, look who decided to show up. Where have you been? I have been missing my favorite pillow. Naruto chuckles and begins to explain what happened, and when he is done, Anko just shakes her head. Not even 6 years old, and already getting into situations like this. What am I going to do with you? And what's this I hear about you being engaged to little Hinata? He chuckles nervously. Well, he was set up by our parents, and might not even happen if we don't love each other. He then walks over to Anko and hugs her. Besides, Eve, if we do fall in love and get married, you won't get rid of me that easily because I love you, and you will be there right there beside her if I marry Hinata. Anko's eyes widen and blushes before smiling, not one of the smiles she shows most people, but a true smile that only Naruto has seen. You got that right, Gaki, but that's not for a while. After all, what would people think of me marrying a Gaki like you? Naruto chuckles. They would think that I am the luckiest guy in the world for having a woman as incredible and beautiful as you as my wife. He then stands on his tiptoes and kisses her cheek. Now let's go to bed. We have a lot of training to do and only 7 years and 11 months to do it. She smiles. You got that right, Gaki. They then go into the bedroom and go to sleep with Anko cuddling Naruto like he is a body pillow. 7 years 11 months later. A 5 feet 8 inches tall 13-year-old with sunblonde hair, blue eyes, and 3 whisker-like marks on each cheek stands on the roof of a building next to the Ninja Academy. He is wearing black steel-toe combat boots, dark red cargo pants, a fishnet shirt that shows of his six-pack abs and chest, a long red trench coat with red flames on the bottom that goes down to his ankles. On the back of the trench coat near the top are the words Saurian Soul in gold lettering, and underneath it there is some kind of creature's skull Jurassic Park logo. On his right arm there is a tattoo of a crimson nine-tailed fox. On his chest above his right pec there is a tattoo of a purple snake coiled around a heart. On his left pec there is a tattoo of the moon with lavender hints in it above a heart, and he is wearing black sunglasses. He looks at the building before looking at the note in his hands and smiling. Well, better not keep them waiting. Should I just enter the building normally or with style? It is. He then smirks before running and leaping into the air and rolling into a ball. Naruto Uzumaki was about to make himself known, and things would never be the same for those around him. Those poor bastards. He not really. Evil smile. Iraka Yumino was many things: a man in his mid-late 20s, a shinobi of Konoha, a teacher of the next generation of Konoha's shinobi, and finally an orphan from the Kyuubi attack 13 years ago. However, as he walked into his classroom with his assistant Teach Mizuki, he couldn't help but feel like something was going to happen today that would not only be hilarious but also make a fool of him, but he pushed it aside for the moment and looked upon his class. First there was Sasuke Uchiha. He had brown hair that looked like a duck's ass, onyx eyes, and had a look on his face that would make you think somebody stuck a 10-foot pole up his ass and killed his puppy. He wore a dark blue shirt with the Uchiha fan on the back, white shorts and black sandals. He sat at his seat with an air that said, I'm the best thing since sliced bread. Bow before me, Delsa, you know much? Next there was Choji Akamichi, tub big boned boy munching on a bag of chips. He had on a gray shirt, tan shorts, and a pair of sandals. Next to him sat his best friend Shikamaru Nara. Shikamaru Nara is one of the smartest people in the village like the rest of his clan, but he was also one of the laziest, also like the rest of his clan, the males anyway. The females, however, were energetic and would often be seen whacking their husbands, boyfriends, or brothers over the head with frying pans they seemed to pull out of thin hair. He had brown hair pulled into a pineapple ponytail. He wore a brown shirt and black pants with gray sandals. He had his head down on his desk and was currently sleeping. Next was Shino Aburame. He has black hair and wore a long closed trench coat that covered his entire body up to his nose and wore black sunglasses that hid his eyes. Next to him sat Kiba Inuzuka. Kiba Inuzuka is a loud, brash, perverted boy who wore a gray jacket with the hood over his head, brown shorts, and sandals. Like the rest of his clan, he had 2 fawn tattoos on his cheeks, and his neendog companion Akamaru, a little puppy with white fur, sat on his head. Next was Ino Yamanaka. He has long blonde hair pulled into a ponytail, and wore a purple top and shorts. She, like the majority of the females in the class, was a fangirl chasing after Sasuke. Sitting next to her was the class banshee, Sakura Harino. She wore a red dress with blue sandals. She had pink hair and green eyes, and also, like the majority of the girls in the class, she too was a fangirl chasing Sasuke. Next there was Hinata Hyuga. She had changed a lot in the last 7 years. She had grown to be around 5 feet 3 inches. Her hair had grown and no reaches mid-back. She wears a baggy beige jacket that hides her mid-C cup breasts, and long blue pants. The rest of the kids in the class were just no-name civilians that Iruka really didn't bother remembering the names of, cause they probably wouldn't appear again after this chapter. Where did that come from, he thought before shaking his head. He then clears his throat, trying to get the class's attention. No effect, so he tries a few more times before a tick mark appears on his forehead. Okay, shut up and pay attention, he yells. Instantly the class does so, causing him to smile. Okay, now today is the day of the graduation exam that will determine if you become shinobi or not. He begins before one of the windows in the classroom break and a black ball flies through before attaching itself to the blackboard. The ball pops open, revealing a banner that says "The Sexiest Man Alive." Naruto Uzumaki is here, and standing next to it is a 5 feet 8 inches tall 13-year-old with sunblonde hair, blue eyes, and 3 whisker-like marks on each cheek. Stands on the roof of a building next to the Ninja Academy. He is wearing black steel-toe combat boots, dark red cargo pants, a fishnet shirt that shows of his 6-pack abs and chest, a long red trench coat with red flames on the bottom that goes down to his ankles. On the back of the trench coat near the top are the words Saurian Soul in gold lettering, and underneath it there is some kind of creature's skull, Jurassic Park logo. On his right arm there is a tattoo of a crimson 9-tailed fox. On his chest above his right pec there is a tattoo of a purple snake coiled around a heart. On his left pec there is a tattoo of the moon with lavender hints in it above a heart, and he is wearing black sunglasses. He turns to Iruka and raises his hand. Yo, am I late? Iruka just stands there for a second before clearing his throat. Who are, and why are you my class? Naruto just tilts his head to the side and looks at Iruka. Well, in order, my name is Naruto Uzumaki, hence the reason I came out of and am standing next to that ball next to me that has the banner saying "The Sexiest Man Alive." Naruto Uzumaki is here. Cue sweat drop from most of the class. And as to what I am doing here, this is my class, and I'm here to take the graduation exam. I have a note from the Hokage, and hands Iruka the note, causing his eyes to widen before rubbing the bridge of his nose and muttering, "I need a drink." He then notices Naruto holding a flask out to him. "Here's some of my special stash, it helps with the stress." Iruka grabs the flask and takes a gulp before handing it back to Naruto. "Thanks, I needed that." "Okay, now class, we have a new student joining us today. Meet Naruto Uzumaki." Naruto raises his hand. "Yo, nice to meet you." Suddenly there was a yell of "Iruka-sensei, why does this nobody get to just join at the end of the year when we're graduating? Only someone as awesome as Sasuke-kun should be able to do that. I just died a little writing that," was the yell of the class banshee, Sakura. "Yes, Sakura." After recovering and stopping his ears from bleeding, Iruka looks at Sakura before saying, "First, Sakura, he has a note signed by the Hokage himself saying he can. And secondly, if you ever yell like that again, I will have you clean the Akimichi sewer system unit lit sparkles with your toothbrush," which caused many of the class to go green in the face, but none more so than Sakura. After composing himself, he turns to Naruto and says, "Okay, Naruto, how about you tell us a little about yourself?" Naruto smiles before nodding. "Okay, Iruka-sensei, my name is Naruto Uzumaki, the sexiest man alive." Cue sweat drop from Iruka. "My likes are training, ramen, foxes, snakes and reptiles in general, the moon, my Hebeheim, my lavender moonheim, music, singing and playing my guitar, cooking. My dislikes are traitors, rapists, perverts, the time it takes to cook ramen, and people who can't tell the difference between a kunai and the scroll it's sealed in. My dream for the future is to get stronger to protect my precious people, bring peace to the elemental nations, become Hokage, and have a family." He finishes with smile. Iruka and the class sit there speechless for a bit before there is a loud squeal and a midnight blue-haired blur rockets into Naruto, who just catches it and twirls around before stopping. He looks at the person in his arms and smiles. "Hello, Hinata-chan, did you miss me?" Her answer was to put her arms around his neck and kiss him on the lips passionately as he wraps his arms around her waist. This causes various reactions among the class. Juroka has his jaw on the ground and a little blood dripping down his nose, and the rest of the class has their jaws on the floor. After ending the kiss, Naruto looks Hinata in the eyes and smiles. "I'll take that as a yes," she responds by tapping him on the chest lightly. Naruto looks at the class. What, haven't you ever seen someone kiss their fiancé before? This caused everyone's jaws to go deeper into the floor and more blood to leak from Iruka's nose. After a few minches everyone recovers and Iruka clears his throat. Okay Naruto, Hinata, if you will take your seats we will start the written exam. Naruto and Hinata nod before giving each other a quick kiss on the lips and going to their seats. Iruka then has Mizuki pass out the tests, who then proceeds to give everyone a test before coming to Naruto and gives him his while before turning around and smiling to himself while he thinks, let's see the demon brat pass that. Naruto looks at the test and notices that they are at least Jounin level questions, realizing that it's under a genjutsu before thinking, so he is one of the people who hates me for holding Akane-chan. Well, let's just fix this, shall we? Akane-chan, you got that right, Naruto-kun. Let's show them what happens when they mess with my little brother. Akane speaks through the mental link they set up a few years back. Naruto then dispels the genjutsu and answers the questions, getting them all right, and then waits for everyone else to finish. 30 minutes later. Iruka looks at the clock before turning to the class. All right, that's time, pencils down, and bring your tests to me. Before heading outside to the training field, everyone gets up and heads outside. Everyone stands outside at the throwing range as Iruka and Mizuki walk up. Okay, now we will test your shuriken jutsu. When I call your name, come up and pick up 10 shuriken and 10 kunai and throw them at the training dummies. He then proceeds to call people one by one. Choji gets a 7 out of 10 for both shuriken and kunai. Shikamaru gets a 6 out of 10 for shuriken and kunai, barely trying while trying enough so he passes. Shino gets a 7 out of 10 for shuriken and 8 out of 10 for kunai. Kiba gets a 7/10 for both shuriken and kunai. Both Ino and Sakura get 6 out of 10 for both shuriken and kunai. Hinata gets a 8 out of 10 for both kunai and shuriken. Sasuke gets a 8 out of 10 for shuriken and a 9 out of 10 for kunai, causing his fangirls to scream about how he is the best. He walks from the throwing spot and gives Naruto a look that says, beat that dope. Naruto just ignores him. Iruka then calls Naruto's name. Naruto walks up to the line and picks up the kunai and shuriken. Iruka looks at him and says, whenever you're ready, Naruto. Naruto nods and gets into a throwing stance before throwing all 10 kunai at once, followed by all 10 shuriken. After he is done, most of the class laughs thinking he missed and Sakura yells, the baka can't even hit the target. Everyone then looks to Iruka, who has his eyes wide and his jaw wide open before turning to Naruto. Great job, Naruto, perfect score and bonus points for hitting other vital points. This shuts everyone up and Sakura yells, what are you taking about, sensei? He missed everyone. Iruka then turns to Sakura. No, Sakura, he not only hit everyone, he placed them in places that are all fatal, ranging from the throat, lungs, kidneys, liver, and finally the eyes. This shuts her up while everyone just looks on with wide eyes and Sasuke grits his teeth due to the dope getting a higher score. Iruka then says, okay, next up is Taijutsu. First up is Shino Aburaim vs Random Civilian 1. Iruka starts the match and within a few minutes the winner is Shino. Next is Choji vs Shikamaru. Shikamaru forfeits, stating it's too troublesome. Then Ino vs Sakura, which ends in a draw. Next is Kiba vs Random Civilian 2 and Kiba wins fairly quickly. Hinata wins against Random Civilian 3. Finally, Iruka calls Sasuke Uchiha vs Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto steps into the ring and gets into a stance as Sasuke walks into the ring. You should give up now, dope. There is no way you can beat me and Uchiha. We are the elite of this village. No one is better than us, as he gets into the Uchiha Interceptor fist style. Naruto just laughs. If that's the case, Sasuke, then why haven't there been any Uchiha Hokages? Then if your clan is the best like you say, then by definition every single Hokage would have been one, or at least one of them would have been, but nope, there isn't a single Hokage that's been an Uchiha, so that must mean your clan isn't as great as you say it is. Everyone just stands there in silence before Kiba and the rest of the boys start laughing. Hinata giggles while Sakura and the rest of the fangirls start screaming at Naruto. Sasuke gets furious before yelling, I will kill you, dope, and charging at Naruto. Sasuke throws a wild poke at Naruto's head, but Naruto just moves his head to the side before giving a hard uppercut to Sasuke's chin, sending him flying into the air. Naruto then jumps into the air, delivers a devastating axe kick to Sasuke's stomach, send him crashing into the ground where he bounces off the ground. Naruto then lands beside him before delivering a spin kick which sends him flying out of the ring into a tree. Everyone stands there in silence watching what can only be described as a slaughter before Sasuke goes flying out of the ring and hits a tree. Iruka recovers from his shock before saying, winner Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto turns around to leave the ring as Sasuke starts to get up. Sasuke, who's furious, starts going through hand seals. Iruka notices this and tries to rush to stop him, but is too late as Sasuke stops and takes a deep breath before yelling fire style. Grand Fireball Jutsu. A medium-sized fire blows out of his mouth and heads toward Naruto, who turns around just in time to see the fireball hit him. Everyone watches in horror as they see the fireball hit Naruto, and Sakura yells, yeah, that's what you get for not letting Sasuke-kun win, like you should have, baka, now you're dead, and laughs. Everyone turns to look at her with a WTF expression on their face right before Hinata hits her with a Juken strike, knocking her out. Sasuke begins laughing manically. That's what you get, dope, when you go against an elite like myself. He then suddenly feels something cold and metal on his throat and turns to see Naruto next to him completely unharmed, holding a kunai to his throat with a murderous look in his eyes. Before he says so, you think you can try to kill a fellow Leaf Shinobi just they beat you in perfectly legal spar. You do know that what you just did counts as treason, right, team? Which means I am well within my rights to simply end your life right here, you pathetic sack of shit. Why your brother left you alive instead of someone like your mother or his friend Shunsui I will never know, but understand this right now, Sasuke. If you ever try to kill another Leaf Shinobi, I will personally cut your balls off, cut your eyes out of head and make you eat them before placing your balls in your eye sockets. Before cutting that tiny pentacle dick of yours and shove it down your throat, before shoving my foot so far up your ass I will force the pole that stuck up there out your mouth. Do I make myself clear? He yelled, leaking massive amounts of K.I. Killing intent, all pointed directly at Sasuke, who could only nod slowly as he pissed and shit his pants before passing out. Naruto turns toward Iruka and says, sorry about that, Iruka-sensei, just had to get a point across to the team, and considering how thick his skull is I thought it would be best if I went about it that way. Iruka nods his head. Very well, Naruto, considering what Sasuke attempted, you are well within your right to do that. And I will be brining his actions up with the Hokage, so he will definitely get punished. Naruto nods his head. I don't think that will be necessary, isn't that right, Umbu-san? And Umbu, with the Ina mask, jumps down and nods to Naruto. Very impressive on being able to find me, Naruto. How were you able to do so, if I might ask? Naruto smile. I was able to smell you. The Umbu, just stand there. And what do I smell like, if I might ask? Naruto beckons the Umbu over and whispers in his ear. The Umbu suddenly flinches before standing up. Well, I will keep that in mind, Naruto, and thank you for the advice. Now I will take the Uchiha to clean himself up before taking him to the Hokage. Have a nice day. Naruto smiles. You too, Ines, and the Umbu then leaves. Naruto turns toward the class and asks, what? Iruka looks at him and asks, what did you tell him, Naruto? Naruto pats his fist into his palm and his eyes a little before grinning sadistically. I told him he smells like semen, alcohol, and shame, and that he may want to lay off on playing his skin flute before going out on patrol, or at least take a shower to wash off the shame and smell before he does so. Iruka and everyone just stand there with their jaws on the ground before bursting out in laughter. After about 10 minutes they calm down and Iruka speaks. Okay, now that that's out of our system, let's start the final part of the exam, the ninjutsu portion. When I call your name, please perform a henge, substitution, and finally the Bunshin clone, in that order, and if you have any other jutsu for extra credit. Okay, first up is one by one. The class went up to take the test with the civilians mostly failing, with all the clan heirs and Sakura, and I wish I could just fail her right here, each performing the 3 required jutsu and an extra credit. 1 Choji use his partial expansion jutsu, Shikamaru use his cage main jutsu, Ino used her mind-body switch jutsu on Shikamaru to make him do an embarrassing dance, Shino used his clan's bug clone jutsu, Kiba used his clan's man-beast clone with Akamaru, Sakura used some pathetic genjutsu on random civilian 4, Hinata used her clan's 32 palm strike. And finally it was Naruto's turn. Iruka looks at Naruto. Okay, Naruto, please perform the henge. Naruto nods and instantly changes into a perfect copy of the yandere before Iruka gives him the signal to release it. Very good, Naruto, a perfect transformation, and without hand seals, bonus points for that. Now please perform the substitution. Naruto nods and smiles sadistically. Suddenly there is a poof of smoke, and the Sandame is there reading a very familiar orange book with blood leaking from his nose. Iruka looks at him and clears his throat. Hokage-sama. The Sandame looks up and sees Iruka and everyone else before asking, Naruto? Iruka nods his head and suddenly the Hokage goes up in a poof of smoke and Naruto is standing there again snickering. Iruka sighs and looks at Naruto. Okay, Naruto, now please perform the Bunshin. Naruto tilts his head and asks Iruka-sensei, can it be a variation of the Bunshin? Iruka nods his head and Naruto then closes his eyes. Suddenly the whole training field goes up in smoke. When it clears there are at least 500 Naruto clones standing there doing various things from cleaning their nails to play rock paper scissors with each other. Iruka sees this, and his jaw hits the ground and he drops his clipboard. Naruto, are these what I think they are? Naruto nods. Yep, they are shadow clones. Kiba then asks Iruka-sensei, what are shadow clones? Iruka gathers himself before answering. Kiba, the shadow clone jutsu is a A-rank kenjutsu due to the large amount of chakra needed to perform it. It requires so much chakra that most jounin can only make between 5 to 10 before they run out of chakra. Hokage-sama himself could only make around 100 when he was in his prime. But for Naruto to make over 500 in one sitting and not even be winded is astounding. Alone, but to do so at the age of 13 is just mind-boggling. Everyone's jaws hit the ground as they look at Naruto. Iruka finally recovers from the shock as Naruto dispels the clones. Okay, Naruto, I have a feeling I am going to regret saying this, but do you have a jutsu you would like to perform for extra credit? Not that you need it at this point. Another sadistic smile appears on Naruto's face, sending shivers down everyone's spines before he says, yeah, Iruka-sensei, but everyone needs to step back. It's kind of big. Iruka nods and steps with everyone else. Naruto closes his eyes before suddenly opening them and saying, Sorry and Soul, Tyrannosaurus Rex. Naruto then begins to change. His face gets longer, his teeth lengthen and turn to fangs, his spine gets longer and forms a tail, his fingers and toes turn into claws, his skin becomes hard, dry, bumpy, and leathery. And finally he grows in size. His head and body get taller and longer and larger till he was easily reaching 20 foot tall, and at least 40 feet long from nose to tail, everyone minus Hinata looks on in shock and terror at the creature before them as it raises its head to the sky and lets out a loud roar, before changing back to Naruto. When he was done changing back, Iruka finally recovers from his shock before shakily asking Naruto, "Naruto, what was that?" Naruto chuckles that Iruka-sensei is part of my never-before-seen bloodline called Saurian Soul. However, I can't go into details about what it is and what I can do, but I can tell I can turn into creatures similar to that one. He finishes with another sadistic smile. Iruka sighs and runs the bridge of his nose. Okay Naruto, I understand, and you get extra credit for it, now that the end of the exam. Those of you that passed come back in a week for team placements. After saying that, everyone begins to leave. Naruto and Hinata leave holding hands. As they walk, Naruto turns to Hinata. So Hinata, how was the academy? Hinata giggles. Well Naruto-kun, it was okay, but it would have been better if you were there with me. He smiles. I know Hinata-chan, but you know why I couldn't be there with you? She smiles sadly. Yeah, can't believe how stupid the villagers are. Naruto laughs. You can meet both. Anko-chan says hi by the way and looks forward to the next time she can help you train. Hinata shivers at that, remembering the couple of times she asked Anko to help her train. After meeting Anko, the two started to talk about various things like girls' stuff, the future, and of course Naruto, and after some time they decided that they would share Naruto because due to how his early childhood had been, they believed he should get as much love as possible, and if that means they share him, then all the better. They also decided that if any other girls were to come into his life, then as long as they truly loved him, then they were welcome to share him with them. Hinata smiles while remembering that. They continue to walk and it begins to get darker, so Naruto decided to walk Hinata home. As they near the Hyuga compound, Naruto remembers something. Hey Hinata-chan, do you still have that little gift Anko-chan gave you when you two decided to share me? Hinata blushes atomic red before quietly answering, yes Naruto-kun, I still have it, and that was the most embarrassing thing I have ever done in my life. Naruto chuckles, remembering that when Anko and Hinata decided to share Naruto, Anko decided they should celebrate, which led to Anko getting an orange nine-tailed fox tattooed on her ass cheek, Hinata getting one on her inner thigh, and Naruto getting the tattoos that are on his chest and arm. As they reach the Hyuga compound, Naruto gives Hinata a quick kiss on the lips and bids her goodnight as she goes in and he leaves. After walking a little, he notices Mizuki running with a big scroll tied to his back with Iruka-sensei chasing him. Sensing something off, he creates a clone to go and inform the Hokage while he chases after him. Mizuki was thrilled. He couldn't believe how easy it had been to steal the forbidden scroll. Now all he had to do was deliver it his master Orochimaru, and he would not only be rich but also powerful. As he was jumping through the trees, he noticed he was being followed and stopped for a second to find both Iruka and Naruto in front of him, and says, well look what we have here. Iruka and the demon brat himself. Just when I thought this couldn't get any better, now I can kill the demon brat before I bring this scroll to Orochimaru-sama. Naruto just chuckles, so you think you can kill us and get away with the forbidden scroll? Man, I could tell you were stupid Mizuki team, but this is beyond stupid. You're not going anywhere. Mizuki just laughs. You stop me, you've got to be kidding me. Before I kill you, do you want to know why you're hated? Naruto Iruka's eyes widen. No Mizuki, it's forbidden, but Mizuki ignores him and throws a bunch of kunai and shuriken at him, which surprises him, allowing them to hit him. Shut up Iruka, now what do you say? Naruto, want to know why you're hated? Naruto just tilts his head. Sure, why not? Mizuki then goes on to tell him about the Kyuubi, how it was sealed in him, and all that jazz. When he is done, Naruto just laughs. Mizuki gets frustrated and yells, what's so funny, demon? Naruto stops laughing and looks at Mizuki. I have known about the Kyuubi since I was 5 years old. Shocking Mizuki and Iruka before he continues, furthermore you said the Kyuubi was sealed in me, which makes me the Kyuubi, but if you fill a glass with water, does the glass become the water? At this, Mizuki and Iruka's eyes widen before a small smile comes to Iruka's face. Now Mizuki, you have attempted to kill, to leave shinobi, stolen the forbidden scroll, and revealed an S-rank secret, which means that your sentence is death. Naruto finishes with a sadistic smirk on his face as he calls out multi-shadow clone jutsu. The forest is then filled with at least 500 Narutos, all of which have the same sadistic smirk before all the clones say Saurian Soul. Velociraptor. All the clones turn into Velociraptors and look at Mizuki, who by this point is pissing himself, at which point all 500 Velociraptor clones attack at once, and all he can do is scream as he is torn to shreds. Iruka looks on as Mizuki is torn to shreds, leaving only his head and the scroll untouched, and feels like he is going to throw up. Naruto walks over to him and begins pulling out the kunai and shuriken. You alright Iruka-sensei? Iruka nods before saying Naruto about what Mizuki said, but Naruto cuts him off. It's okay Iruka-sensei, like I said, I have known since I was 5, and when Gigi shows Uopi and we get back to his office, everything will be explained. Naruto then finishes pulling out the last of the shuriken and kunai before going over and picking up the forbidden scroll and Mizuki's head just as the Hokage and Samambu show up. The Sandaime looks at the Sen before him, looking at Naruto and smiling. Good work Naruto, mission complete, he says and winks slightly. Naruto catches on and plays along. Of course Hokage-sama, like we thought the Mizuki was the traitor, and after confirming this, following him here where I joined Iruka-sensei in confronting him, Mizuki proceeded to break an S-rank law punishable by death, along with the attempted murder of 2 Leaf Shinobi, and the theft of the forbidden scroll with the intention to bring it to the traitor Orochimaru. I eliminated him and retrieved the scroll while attending to Irika Sensei's injuries before you showed up. The Hokage nods and turns to his Inu. Take a scud to see if there are any others around that might be waiting for Mizuki, and if so, try to capture them, but if unable to take them alive, you have authorization to kill them. Inu nods and leaves with most of the leaving only the Hokage, the named Nico, Naruto, and Irika in the clearing. The Sandaime then turns towards Nico. Nico, help Irika up, we are heading to my office. Nico nods and does so before the four of the Shushin to the Hokage's office. Once they reach the office, the Sandaime has the other leave before activating a privacy. Nico, remove your mask. Nico nods and does so, revealing a beautiful young woman in her mid-20s with violet eyes and purple hair. This is Yugo Yuzuki agent Nico. She smiles at Naruto. It's been a while, Naruto-kun, how have you been? Naruto walks over and gives her a hug. I've been good, Yugo-ne, how are you? And hi Tenai. She smiles. We're good, Naruto-kun, now let's see what Hokage-sama has to say. Naruto nods and releases the hug before turning to the Hokage. Hiruzen smiles before turning toward Irika. Irika, what we are about to tell you is an S-rank secret, so it must not be told to anyone. Irika gulps and nods. The Hokage and Naruto then proceed to tell Irika everything about Naruto, his parents, the Kyuubi, the relationship between them, and so on. By the time they are done, Irika's mind is blown. The Hokage then tells him he can, and he does so. Yugo then gives Naruto another hug before leaving herself. Naruto then turns towards the Hokage, who smiles at him and pulls out some money. Naruto, I am classifying this incident as an A-rank mission for you, so here is your pay. And I have to say, you haven't even been a shinobi for a day yet, and already captured a traitor. I look forward to seeing your career, my boy, if this is just the start of it. Naruto smiles. Well, you know me, GG. He chuckles, then walks to the window and jumps on the windowsill. Well, see you later, GG. Anko-chan is probably waiting for me. Naruto then jumps out the window and begins running on rooftops towards the forest of death. Hiruzen just looks out the window and watches him go, thinking, Naruto, your will of fire burns so brightly that it breathes life into people whose own will of fire has weakened. He then sits back down at his desk to fight the greatest foe to ever exist, paperwork. Naruto arrives back at the tower in the forest of death and spots Anko munching on some leftover dango. He smirks and sneaks up behind her before wrapping his arms around her waist and kissing her name, causing her to let out a moan, and turns her head to see Naruto. You know, Naruto-kun, it's not very smart to sneak up on me. He chuckles before kissing her neck again. I can't help it, especially considering how much I love you and how beautiful you are. Anko blushes a little as she thinks how much she has changed in the 8 years they have been together. She still wears her violet hair and the same pineapple ponytail. She now wears a long tan trench coat that reaches her heels. She has on a black miniskirt held up by a belt that has a snake wrapped around a fox head holding it up. She wears a black mini top with a fishnet mesh shirt covering it, black shin guards and arm guards, and a pair of black combat boots like Naruto. Naruto sits down at the table and grabs a stick of dango as Anko asks, so how was your first and last day of the academy? Naruto smiles and begins to tell her how his day went, starting with how he entered the classroom, which causes her to laugh and tell him good job. He then tells her how everyone reacted to not only him joining them, but him being Hinata's fiancé, which makes her laugh. Naruto then tells her about the test, how Mizuki tried to sabotage, and how Sasuke tried to kill him after being beaten, which caused her to nearly storm out and kill the team before Naruto calms her down and tells her how he dealt with him. Then he tells her of the ninjutsu test and how he got extra credit, which causes her to laugh again. Naruto then tells her how he walked Hinata home and found out she still has the tattoo on her inner thigh. Anko blushes a little before laughing at that, remembering that day. Naruto then tells her about taking care of Mizuki, saving Irika, and returning the forbidden scroll to Gigi. When he finishes, Anko just looks at him and smiles. All that in less than a day of being a shinobi, damn Naruto-kun, that's impressive. She then gives him a quick kiss on the lips before getting up and leads him to the bedroom. Come on, Naruto-kun, time for bed, you've had a busy day and nay your rest, Anko says as she begins undressing until she is in just her purple bra and thong before getting under the blankets. Naruto then gets undressed till he is in his burnt orange boxers and get under the blankets next to her, holding her in his arms before kissing her forehead. Good night, my Hebe queen, he says. She smiles and kisses his forehead. Good night, by Foxy King, she says as they fall asleep in each other's arms. Naruto woke the next morning to find his vision blocked by something, and judging by how soft it was, he had a very good idea as to what it was. Anko's D-cup breasts. He smiles and thinks, I don't know how you do it, Anko-chan, but why is it that every morning you somehow end up without your bra even though you were wearing it when we went to bed? He slides out from under her and places a pillow in his place before covering her back up with the blanket and going to make breakfast. As Naruto makes breakfast, he thinks on what he should do for the next few days before team placements. Let's see, team placements are in 6 days. That gives me time to get to know my fellow genin minus Sakura. He shudders and prays to Kami that he isn't placed on a team with the Banshee. I mean Sakura, I should probably keep training, take Hinata on a few dates, and prepare for the shitstorm that those damn civilian counselors are going to send my way when they find out about me beating their precious Uchiha. Why does Gigi even keep them around? All they do is bitch about things that they have no say in. Naruto chuckles and sadistic smirk comes to his face as he plans for the inevitable meeting with the councils before continuing to make breakfast. Naruto finishes placing breakfast on the table as Anko comes out scratching the back of her head while yawning. Morning Naruto-kun, what's for breakfast? He smiles. Well, Anko-chan, we have eggs, toast, bacon and your favorite dango. However, I suggest you take a look at your current state of dress before you start eating. Anko looks down at what she is wearing and notices she is only wearing her purple thong before looking back up at Naruto, who is smirking. Now, Anko-chan, as beautiful as you are and how much I enjoy seeing you wearing just panties, I think you should get dressed. Anko blushes before smirking and cupping her breasts. What's the matter, Naruto-kun? Are you afraid you won't be able to control yourself seeing me like this? Naruto walks over and gives her a quick kiss on lips before smirking. Not at all, Anko-chan. It's just if you keep walking around like it would only be fair if I started walking around in just my boxers, and you likely jump me right then and there. Now go get dressed or no dango. Anko blushes at being out-teased before realizing what he said and rushes to get dresses lest she risks her dango. Naruto smiles before sitting and waiting for her to return. After they finish breakfast and Naruto washes the dishes while Anko dries them, she turns to him. So Naruto-kun, what do you plan to do for the few days until team placements? He thinks for a minute. Well, I was thinking of training some more if you want to join me. Maybe we could get Hinata-chan to join us, seeing how it's been a while since she did so. Anko smiles sadistically at the thought of training Hinata again before Naruto sees this and smiles. Now, Anko-chan, I know what you're thinking, but try to keep the injuries down to a minimum this time, especially since Hinata can't find out which team she is on if she is in the hospital. Anko pouts a little before Naruto kisses her forehead. Now, none of that, Anko-chan. If we're lucky, I will get placed on Hinata-chan's team with you as our sensei. That way the three of us can train together all we want. Anko instantly stops pouting as that thought comes to her mind. Now, other than training, I was thinking of getting to know the others who graduated and preparing for the inevitable meeting with the councils when they hear how I kicked the Uchihas. As Naruto smiles, remembering the ass kicking he gave the team Emo King. Anko smirks at hearing that and says, okay Naruto-kun, sounds like a plan. Just remember to bring a camera to the council meeting. I want to see their faces when you show them why they shouldn't mess with you. Naruto smiles before giving her a quick peck on the lips. Of course, my Hebe queen. Was already planning to. Anko, you better, my foxy king, or you're sleeping on the couch for a week. Naruto shudders, remembering the last time he had to sleep on the couch after accidentally ruining Anko's dango. Naruto gives her one last kiss before they leave the tower to go and train. 1 week later. The week passed by quickly for Naruto. The first day he met up with Hinata and they went on a date in the park before watching the sunset from the top of Hokage Monument. The next day Naruto got to know his fellow genin minus Sakura and found they were pretty cool. Shino was pretty quiet, but Naruto could tell what he was saying by reading his body language. Shikamaru and Choji were pretty fun to be around despite Shikamaru being really lazy and Choji always eating something. Kiba tried to challenge him for Hinata-chan, saying that as an alpha she was his, which ended with Naruto kicking the shit out of him figuratively and literally. The rest of the week Naruto hung out with Hinata and Anko, either training or just relaxing. It was the day of team placements, and Naruto was standing on the roof of the building across from the academy wearing his usual trench coat, combat boots, red cargo pants, fishnet shirt, and black sunglasses, thinking about how he would enter the classroom. He noticed Yuka just walk in before standing behind the podium and instantly came up with a way to enter. Smiling sadistically, he sinks into the roof. Iruka had just entered his classroom and told everyone to shut up before doing roll call. As he went down the list he came to Naruto's name and silently prayed he wouldn't do any like when he first introduced himself. And, oh poor Iruka, he has no idea what Naruto has in store for him, but I do. Cue evil smile. As he called Naruto's name, something started to come out the top of the podium slowly. Inch by inch it came out till it revealed it was Naruto's head. He had a creepy smile on his face that would make Orochimaru shiver before he suddenly said I'm Hurry in a very creepy sing-song voice that nearly made Iruka have a heart attack as he jumped into the air screaming like a little fangirl and using chakra to stick the wall. Naruto rises the rest of the way out of the podium till he is standing on, and begins laughing. Sorry Iruka-sensei, couldn't resist. After all, it's the last day that you will be my sensei. He then turns toward the back of the room. Did you get all that on camera? He asks. Suddenly a shadow clone appears holding a camera and nods his yeah boss, just like you said to now to go get it developed and pass it around the village. See ya, the clone responds before running off. Iruka finally gathers himself before thinking, why does it feel like there is some all-powerful deity that enjoys having Naruto either embarrass me or make me want to drink? He then turns toward the class, many of whom are snickering, a tick mark before clearing his throat, and begins a speech about he is proud of them. This is only the beginning and all that mumbo-jumbo. Kiba then asks, hey Iruka-sensei, where is Mizuki-sensei? Naruto snickers and Iruka flinches. Well, it turns out Mizuki was not only altering grades which affected the team placements, but the night of the graduation exam he stole the forbidden scroll with the intent to sell it to our enemies. At this many in the class gasp. However, thankfully Naruto noticed him acting funny and informed the Hokage before chasing after him and confronting him, at which time I showed up. At this the class looks at Naruto, who merely shrugs. Iruka then continues, Mizuki then immobilized me before being defeated by Naruto, who when performed first aid saving my life, at which time the Hokage showed up. He finishes with a smile at Naruto. Okay, now on with the teams. Team 1 to 6 not important. He then continues. Team 7 under Kakashi Hatake will be Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruin. Q loud squeal and rant about tour love wins all, and Kiba Inuzuka. At this, Kiba just slams his head on his desk and Naruto pats him on the shoulder. I feel for you, Kiba. I really do. My advice, bring heavy duty earplugs if you want to stay sane. Kiba looks over and nods. Iruka continues going down the list. Team 9 is still in circulation, so Team 10 under Asuma Sarutobi will be Shikamaru Nara, Choji Akimichi, and Ino Yamanaka. At this, Ino just groans. Iruka ignores her and continue. Now here is where things get interesting. Team 8 under Kurenai Yuhi will be Shino Aburame and Hinata Hyuga. However, due to a jonin taking an interest in Naruto's skills and wanting to take him as an apprentice, that leaves Team 8 short a member, so Hokage-sama decided to place him on Team 8 with his sensei, meaning Team 8 will now be Shino Aburame, Hinata Hyuga, and Naruto Uzumaki under Kurenai Yuhi with Ko-sensei. But before he can finish, the window breaks and in flies a black ball that opens to reveal a banner that reads the sexy but taken Anko Mitarashi / soon to be Uzumaki. At the bottom is a chibi drawing of Naruto in a tuxedo with Anko hanging off him wearing a wedding gown. Next to the banner is none other than Anko herself with a shit-eating grin on her face as she looks at Naruto, who simple smile and thinks, I should have known it would be Anko, this is just like her. Iruka looks at Anko. Anko-san, you're early. She merely chuckles and says, sorry about that, just couldn't wait to get my cute little genins and begin their torture training. Yeah, that's right, Iruka sighs. The door suddenly opens and in walks a black-haired woman with red eyes wearing black sandals, a black skirt, and a red and white dress that looks like it's made of bandages. She turns to Anko and glares, damn it Anko, I told you to wait. We are early. Anko just chuckles and rubs the back of her head. Sorry Kurenai-chan, I was excited. Kurenai's eye begins to twitch. Fine, okay, Team 8 meet us on the roof in 10 minutes. Naruto, Hinata, and Shino nod before getting up when suddenly Kiba looks at Anko and says, wait a minute, the banner said you're soon to be Anko Uzumaki, but the only Uzumaki is Naruto, and he is engaged to Hinata. Anko just smiles, that's correct, but so am I. There is utter silence, and you could hear a pin drop when suddenly everyone minus Naruto, Hinata, Anko, Kurenai, and Shino yells at once each. Naruto chuckles and rubs the back of his head before answering what everyone is thinking, yes, I am engaged to both Hinata and Anko. Due to me being the last known Uzumaki, I fall under the CRA, which allows / forces me to take multiple wives. However, just because I will only marry if both myself and the women I am to marry love each other. He finishes. Kiba and the rest of the boys in class minus Choji, Shikamaru, and obviously Sasuke then gets up, stand in front of Naruto before dropping down to their hands and knees before bowing their heads up and down before creepily chanting as one, all hail Naruto Uzumaki-sama, the manliest man, the sage of manliness. Please teach us your ways and manliness. We are not worthy. Naruto and the rest of Team 8 just stands there with sweat drops on their heads. Naruto then turns to Iruka-sensei for some help, only to find him also bowing down to him. While chanting, Naruto shakes his head and looks at the rest of Team 8. Can we just go? This is getting too weird even for me. They just shake their heads and head to the roof. When they reach the roof, Kurenai looks at them. Okay, now that we're away from, how about we introduce ourselves? I will start. My name is Kurenai Yuhi. My like are genjutsu, training, my friends, wine, and reading. My dislike are perverts, rapists, and traitors. My dream is to become the best genjutsu user in the elemental nations. See you 3 reach jonin, and have a family. She finishes, turning towards Anko. Anko smiles. My name is Anko Mitarashi / soon to be Uzumaki. My like are Naruto-kun, snakes, sake, dango, and my friends. My dislikes are perverts, rapists, and a certain traitor. My dreams for the future are to kill said traitor, marry Naruto-kun, and have a family with him. She finishes before turning to Hinata. Hinata nods and says, my name is Hinata Hyuga / soon to be Uzumaki. My likes are Naruto-kun, Anko-sensei, training, and cinnamon buns. My dislikes are perverts, rapists, traitors, and the cage-bird seal. My dreams for the future are to abolish the cage-bird seal and unite the main and branch families, marry Naruto-kun, and have a family. She smiles at the end and turns to Shino. Shino nods before saying, my name is Shino Aburame. My likes are insects and honey. My dislikes are people who kill insects for no reason, and traitors. My dream is to become head of my clan and breed insects to make a new breed. Shino finishes by pushes his sunglasses up and turns towards Naruto. Naruto smiles before saying, my name is Naruto Uzumaki. My likes are Anko-chan, Hinata-chan, ramen, the moon, training, foxes, snakes and reptiles in general, music, singing, playing my guitar, and cooking. My dislikes are traitors, rapists, perverts, the time it takes to cook ramen, and people who can't tell the difference between a kunai and the scroll it's sealed in. My dream for the future is to get stronger to protect my precious people, bring peace to the elemental nations, become Hokage, and have a family. He finishes with smile. Everyone nods before Kurenai says now we will head to training ground 8 for the real genin exam. Nobody seems surprised by this, so Kurenai asks what's wrong. Usually this is where you ask what I mean. Naruto just chuckles. Well, Kurenai-sensei, it's pretty obvious that there would be another test that is designed to weed out the rest of the weaker candidates while at the same time showing if those on teams can put aside their differences to work together to complete the mission, which means that the test you're referring to is merely a test on teamwork. And now that we have figured that out, we would work together and pass the test. Kurenai just stands there shocked as she looks at Naruto, who in less than a minute figure out the real meaning behind the test. Naruto gets up and walks over to her before closing her mouth. Now Kurenai-sensei, it not very ladylike to stand there with mouth hanging open. Okay, he finishes with a smile, making Kurenai blush before regaining her composure and saying, okay, then you 3 pass. Now let's go to training ground 8 to train before we start taking missions tomorrow. Everyone nods before heading to the training field. After training for a few hours, Kurenai and Anko tell them they are done for the day and to go home and rest up. They then head to the Hokage Tower to report about their team. When they reach the Hokage's office, the other Jonin senseis are there waiting. The only ones worth mentioning are a tall man wearing the standard Jonin outfit. He has black spiky hair and a black trimmed beard, and is smoking a cigarette. This is Asuma Sarutobi, leader of Team 10 and son to the Hokage Hiruzen Sarutobi. Next to his Kakashi Hatake, leader of Team 7. The Hokage notices Kurenai and Anko walk in and clears his throat. Okay, now report on which teams pass and failed. The leaders of teams 1 to 6 all report that their teams failed. Kakashi steps up. Team 7 passes but barely. The biggest problems are Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno. Sasuke wants nothing to do with his teammates and only cares about getting stronger. It is in my personal opinion that if it meant him gaining more power, he would gladly either abandon or kill his teammates or a fellow leaf. Shinobi, case in point, the incident where he attempted to kill Naruto Uzumaki after he losing to him in a spar. Sakura, on the other hand, only cares about impressing Sasuke. Kiba tried to bring the team together to get the bells, but they blew him off, and it was only after giving them a second chance did they pass. He finishes. The Hokage thinks for a minute. Sasuke shall be forced to go see Inoichi weekly to check his mental state. If he fails once, he shall be stripped of his shinobi license, have his chakra sealed, and become a civilian, he said, shocking some of the Jonin. He then turned to Suma, who his report that Team 10 passed. The Sandame nodded before turning toward Kurenai and Anko. Kurenai, Anko, your turn, he said with a smile, already having an idea of how things went. Kurenai cleared her throat. Well, Hokage-san, Team 8 passed with flying colors. She then goes on to explain how Naruto figured out the true meaning of the test less than a minute after they were told they were not genin yet. She then proceeded to tell him of the training session they had along with Naruto, revealing his bloodline, which shocked the Jonin that didn't know he had one. When she was done, the Hokage merely chuckles, drawing everyone's attention. Well, it seems Naruto is finally revealing his skills, and the way he did so is just like him. Okay, everyone is dismissed. The Jonin leave and the Hokage just chuckles. He then turns toward one of the corners of the room and says, Nico, please inform the council that there will be a meeting that they all are to attend in the next 30 minutes. Then go and inform Naruto of it. He probably already has a good idea of what it's about. Nico nods before leaving and the Hokage chuckles and thinks time to go bust some heads. 30 minutes later. The Hokage sits at the head of a U-shaped ring of bleachers. On either side of him sit his advisors Koharu and Thing 1 and Thing 2, also known as Danzo, and what's his name. On the left side of them sits the Civilian Council, aka the Peanut Gallery. On his right side sat the Shinobi Council, which consisted of Shikaku Nara, Chuza Akimichi, Inoichi Yamanak, Tsuminozuka, Shibi Aburame, and Hyase Hyuga. Shikaku, Chuza, Shibi, and Inoichi look like older versions of their kids, except in Inoichi's case an older male version of Ino. Hayashi looks the same as when Naruto met him 8 years ago. Suminzuka, the Inuzuka clan head and mother of Hana Inuzuka, and Kiba Inuzuka, is about 5'6" with high D-cup breasts. She wears long gray pants, black shinobi sandals, and a gray jacket with the hood pulled up. Next to her sat a lager gray furred dog with an eye patch. This was her nin dog companion Kuramaru. The Hokage clears his throat. We are gathered here to not only welcome back 2 of Konoha's most treasured clans but also reveal a new bloodline that has been discovered. There were murmurs about which clans the Hokage was talking about before he silenced them and looked at the door and said, please come in. Now the door opened, and in walked Naruto wearing his usual outfit. He walked up to stand before the Hokage, a smile on his face before bowing the Hokage. As soon as he finished bowing, one of the civilian counselors decided to be stupid and voice his opinion. Hokage-sama, what is the demon? He never finished his sentence as Naruto threw a kunai that hit the man in the head, killing him instantly. And just like that, the civilian council erupted into chaos, yelling for him to be killed while he simply smiled. The Hokage merely chuckled before yelling shut up while blasting the civilians with his ki. Now before that idiot opened his mouth and broke a S-rank law, which is punishable death. Thank you for dealing with that. By the way, Naruto merely smiles before nodding his head. Now, as I was saying, we are here to welcome back both the Uzumaki clan and the Namikaze clan along with a new bloodline. Now, because some of you are too slow or stupid to figure this out on your own, Naruto is the heir of both clones and the holder of a new bloodline. He pulls out a folder, and this folder is the birth Certificate of 1 Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze made mere second after he was born and signed by the Yondaime Hokage himself Minato Namikaze Naruto's father, and Kushina Uzumaki Naruto's mother. He holds up the document before handing it to Hayashi and asks him to authenticate it. Hayashi looks at the document with his Byakugan before looking up and saying this document is real. There are residual chakra signatures of both Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki that match Naruto's, therefore he is the son of both Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki. He finishes, leaving everyone that didn't already know shocked. Suddenly one of the civilians stands up. I vote we enact the CRA on Namikaze-sama, and on behalf of the civilian council apologize for how he has been treated. There is silence until Naruto starts laughing and everyone minus the Hokage and Hayashi look at him surprised. Naruto stops laughing before saying, "Oh, that's a good one. I haven't laughed like that in a long time." He looks towards the civilians and glares, "So you apologize for not only making my life a living but also basically pissing on the Yondaime's grave, who is my father, in case it didn't sink in yet, by taking his dying wish of me being seen as a hero like he wanted and completely disregarding. Well, here is what I have to say about that." Naruto takes a deep breath. "Take your apology, shine it up real good before bending over and shoving it up your ass where you head," he yells. The entire room goes silent until Tsum starts laughing. "Oh, Kami, he is definitely Kushina's son." She stops laughing after a few minutes. The counselor that apologized gets up and looks glare at Naruto. "Now listen here, you little," but Naruto cuts him off. "And oh, you listen, you worthless pile of shit," effectively shutting the man up. Naruto continues, "You think I would honestly forgive a single one of bastards after how miserable you made my life? I am claiming my inheritance, and have some news for all you civilians." Naruto then smiles sadistically, which makes the civilian counselors nervous and turns Tsum on a bit at the sheer amount of alphaness his radiating before he starts speaking again. "With the combined fortunes of the Uzumaki and Namikaze, I am now the richest person in Konoha." Everyone's eyes nearly jump out of their head hearing this, but Naruto continues on, "Not only that, but due to my father opening many businesses and housing projects along with those opened by my mother and Mito Uzumaki, I own more than 70% of the entire village. This nearly caused everyone to have a heart attack." But Naruto wasn't done yet. "This means that if I wanted to, I could just take everything I own and leave the village, effectively destroying it, or I could just liquidate all of your assets, leaving all you broke and homeless like you left me after I was kicked out of the orphanage at the age 3. This caused many of the civilians' counselors to nearly shit themselves, as they all were thinking the same thing: "We're screwed." Naruto starts laughing before saying, "That's right, you dumb fucks, I have you by the balls, and before I'm through with you, you're going to wish you were never born. Now here is what I am going to do. Starting first thing tomorrow, each and every one of you is go to publicly reveal in front of the entire village every single thing you have done to make my life hell and how you shit on my father's dying wish, and I will be right there to watch you do it. Now, in case you're thinking about lying, I have a surprise for you, because you see I have an ability that lets me tell if someone is lying or don't reveal the entire truth, and when I catch you lying, I will liquidate all your assets. After that is done, you will donate half of your entire fortune to the hospital and orphanage, and if you don't, I will liquidate all your assets. And if you don't like, then you can suck my glorious giant cock." Naruto finishes, leaving the civilian council shocked. Meanwhile, the entire shinobi council burst out laughing at what Naruto had just done and said. Naruto then turns to the Hokage. "Now on to the CRA being enacted on my. I'm all for cause. I have always wanted a big family," he says with a smile. "However, I will be choosing my wives, because I will not marry unless both the women I am marrying and myself love each other. And on that note, I already have 3 fiancés," he said, shocking everyone that didn't know. He then continues, "My first fiancé is Hinata Hyuga, who has been my fiancé for over 6 years. My second fiancé is Anko Mitarashi, who has been my fiancé for 7 years," he said, shocking them. "My third fiancé shall remain unnamed until the finals of the Chunin exams. However, if anyone tries to manipulate any of my fiancés or force them to break off the engagement, I will not only liquidate you assets, I will also make what the Kyuubi did, like a fight between academy students. Do I make myself clear?" Naruto finishes with a smirk, as he sees everyone nod before turning to the Hokage. Naruto looked at the Sandaime before smiling. "Now, Hokage-sama, I shall explain my bloodline. However, to this being a shinobi matter, doesn't that mean that the civilian council isn't needed?" He finished. Hiruzen smiles, catching on to what Naruto is doing. "Why, yes it does. Please escort the civilian council out, and make sure they get home safely," he says as the civilians are escorted out by Naruto then smiles. "Damn, I have wanted to do that for the last 8 years," he says with a laugh, causing the Hokage, Koharu, and the Shinobi Council to chuckle. Naruto turns serious. "Now about my bloodline, I call it Saurian Soul," he begins as he goes on to explain how it allows him to transform into long-dead creatures called dinosaur. After he finishes explaining, Danzo and Thing 2 leave and Naruto nods to the Hokage, who locks the door before setting up a privacy seal. Naruto then smiles. "Now then, let the real explanation begin," he says, confusing everyone but the Hokage. Inoichi then voices the question on everyone's mind. "But Naruto, you just explained what your bloodline can do." Naruto just chuckles. "No, Inoichi-san, I only revolved the bare minimum to appease Danzo and his little pet. Now here is what I can actually do," he says before explaining what he can really do, smiling as the looks on everyone's faces get more and more amusing. By the time Naruto is finished, everyone minus the Hokage And Hayashi's jaws are on the ground. Naruto smiles before asking, if you want I can change into one of my forms to show you what it looks like, he says. Everyone nods and some asks, can we see this Tyrannosaurus Rex you spoke of, as she is a little curious at what this so-called Tyrant King looks like. Naruto nods. Of course, that actually happens to be one of my favorites, he says before stepping back to the middle of the room before closing his eyes and channeling the appropriate soul and opening them and saying, Saurian soul. Tyrannosaurus Rex says his changes into his T-Rex form, shocking everyone that hadn't seen it before and causing Tsum to cream herself while thinking, holy shit. He isn't an alpha, he is a freaking apex. What I wouldn't give to have him dominate me. Maybe I can pair him up with Hannah. She needs to finally get herself a man. They would be a cute couple, and if I play my cards right I might be able to join her. Wait a minute, don't I have a contract of something at home somewhere? I'm going to have to check when I get home after I take a shower. That is, Naruto transforms back to his normal form and looks at the faces of everyone laughing inwardly. He clears his throat, getting everyone out of their shock states. That is only of the forms I can take, so what do you think? Shibi is the first to respond. I have only 2 words describe that. Holy shit. Everyone looks at Shibi, who merely raises an eyebrow what everyone shakes their head, while simultaneously saying never mind. Hiruzen simply chuckles. I believe this ends the meeting. Everyone have a nice night, he says as he gets up, Koharu doing the same before she walks over to him and gives him a hug. To which he hugs back and she says, it's good to see you, Naruto-kun, I'm glad you're doing well. He smiles as they release each other. Me to Obasan, how had your back been lately? She chuckles. It's been better, Naruto-kun, but the past few days it's starting to hurt more and more. Naruto reaches into one of the pockets in his pants and pulls out a large bag of a strange green leaves with 5 points and hands it to her. Here, Obasan, I found these one day while training deep in the forest of death and found out that smoking them relieves all kinds of muscle aches. Koharu's eyes go wide at hearing this before thanking him. Naruto then pulls out more bags and gives them to everyone except for Chuza, who asks, why didn't I get a bag? Naruto chuckles. There is one side effect to using this weed, and that is you get the munchies, and you get them bad. One time after smoking some I ended up eating over 100 Naruto-sized bowls of ramen at Ichiraku's. Everyone's eyes widen, thinking what would happen if someone formed the Akimichi clan smoked some of this weed. Naruto realizes they figured out what would happen exactly if an Akimichi were to smoke this. There is no telling how much they would eat. A shiver runs down everyone's spine. Naruto then looks towards Shikaku and pull out a scroll before handing it to him. Here, this is a gift for Yoshino-san to thank her for those cooking lessons. Some then looks at Naruto before saying, Naruto, you must have huge balls of steel due to how you handled the civilians. Naruto just smirks before using Shunshin to appear behind and wrap his arms around her waist before leaning into her ear. They are more like titanium, and yes, they are huge, he whispers seductively before nibbling on her earlobe, causing her to let out a small moan before she catches herself and blushes, at which point Naruto returns to the middle of the room and everyone looks at him wide-eyed as he turns around to leave but stops. As a shadow clone appears holding a video camera, Naruto looks at the clone before saying, did you record the whole meeting? The clone nods and gives him the video camera. Good, you can dispel now. The clone does so and Naruto looks to see everyone staring at him. What? Enko wanted me to record me sticking it to the civilian council so we could watch it later. Catch you later. I got date with Enko to watch the most handsome man alive stick it to some arrogant dumbass, he says as he waves the videotape and disappears in a Shunshin. Everyone just stands there for a second before Shibi says, balls of steel indeed, which causes everyone to nod their heads until Kuramaru says, no, it's huge balls of titanium. Isn't that right? Some, which causes her to blush as everyone looks at her while all the men are thinking that boy is a damn hero to men everywhere. Naruto returns to the tower to find Enko sitting on the couch in front of the TV watching some show. He walks in and takes his boots off as Enko notices him. So where you been for so long? She says coyly. Naruto just holds up the videotape. Had to get a movie for us, it's called The Most Handsome Man Alive, sticks it to arrogant civilians. Want to watch? Enko smiles sadistically. You bet you hot ass I do. Now get over here, put that movie in, and sit the hell down. I want to lay on my favorite pillow as we watch it. Naruto smiles. As you wish, my Hebe queen. Naruto puts the movie in before laying down on the couch with Enko laying on his chest as they begin to watch the home movie. It had 2 months since Naruto's meeting with the council, and a lot had not only happened, but also changed the way many things were done in the village. First, there was the reveal of Naruto's heritage, and what really happened the night the Kyuubi attacked, which resulted in a variety of things. Many were shocked that Naruto was the son of the Yondaime Hokage and the Red Death. Of course, there were some people who denied this, saying things like, there is no way that thing is the son of Yondaime-sama. However, after the Hokage presented Naruto's birth certificate, they promptly shut up. The younger generations, including Naruto's age group, were shocked as well, but when they thought about it, and compared what Naruto looked like to that of the Yondaime, they knew it was the truth, and after learning that he had the Kyuubi, all of them minus Sakura and Sasuke saw him as the hero he was. Sakura didn't care who his parents were. She caused in her mind there was no one better than her Sasuke-kun, and, I swear I just died a little writing that. While Sasuke seethed in anger thinking that Dobe has so much power, it should be mine so I can kill Itachi. Only an Uchiha deserves all that power, and use it properly, for we are the elite, and I have to stop killing myself writing stuff like this. After his heritage was revealed, the civilian council came up and revealed all the ways they made Naruto's life hell, which appalled not only the younger generation but the adults that were either neutral to him or sympathetic to him. The Hokage then told everyone how Naruto legally owns over 70% of the village due to the various businesses and housing projects that his parents and Mito Uzumaki established. This resulted in everyone's nearly popping out of their heads and their jaws hitting the ground. After everyone got over their shock, Naruto stepped forward and looked over the villagers. Naruto smiled and waved before speaking. As you have just been told, I am the son of the Yondaime Hokage Minato Namikaze and his wife Kushina Uzumaki, that I have the Kyuubi sealed within me, and that I own more than 70% of Konoha, more than even the Fire Lord himself owns. All of this true, he finishes with a creepy smile. Think Jin Ikamaru from Bleach's smile. This causes those who made his life miserable to visibly shiver in fear. Naruto then continues, now I'm sure some of are probably thinking, we are so screwed because of how we treated him. Well, you're wrong. You're not screwed because I'm not going to stoop to you level, he finishes with a smile. The people who made his life miserable relax at hearing this, thinking he won't do anything. However, what he says next instantly proves them wrong. However, that doesn't mean there won't be some changes. First, starting tomorrow, I will be going to every store and housing complex I own and do an inspection. If I don't find things satisfactory, then there will be consequences. The stores that kicked me out, refused me service, or overcharged me will be seeing major changes in staff and donating substantial sum of money to various charities, the hospital, and the orphanage. This shocks everyone. Naruto continues, I will also be working with Hokage-sama to not only improve the hospital and orphanages, I will also be funding the construction of a brand new hospital, 2 orphanages, and a new academy that will center around teaching those who don't want to be shinobi but still learn things, like cooking, carpentry, and blacksmithing, among other things. I will also be corresponding with the Fire Daimyo on ways to further increase prosperity in the village, he finishes, shocking everyone again. Naruto then continues, now just because I am the son of the Yondaime and own the majority of the village does not mean I want to be treated like royalty and have everyone kissing my ass like spoiled, ungrateful, duck-ass-headed, brooding emo Team Uchiha, which causes a lot of people to snicker and a few to laugh out loud before Sasuke suddenly yells, how dare you dobe, I am an Uchiha, the elite of this village, and deserve to be treated as such. Naruto just ignores him before using his pinky to clean his ear and respond loud enough for everyone to hear, did you say something? All I heard was quacking, which causes people to laugh, Sasuke to storm off furiously, Sakura to follow him, Kakashi to smile proudly at passing on the ways of the hip cool attitude to Naruto, and Mato Guy to yell curse you and your hip cool attitude, and infecting Naruto with it, causing everyone to sweat drop before leaving. The next day, the Hokage disbanded the civilian council and picked 3 people to represent the various civilian-run things. Tsuchiya Chiraku was chosen to represent the various restaurants in the village. The other 2 chosen represented the various other stores and public areas. Like he said he would the day before, Naruto went around to the various stores and housing complexes to inspect them, which ended up in quite a few people either being fired or sent to jail for embezzlement. He also hired large amounts of construction workers to begin building the new hospital, orphanages, and academy, and after seating the state that the orphanage he used to live was in, he also had them renovated, and sent a message to the Fire Daimyo regarding various ways to increase the village's prosperity. For the next 2 months, dozens of Naruto's clones were seen around the village either supervising the construction/renovation of the academy, hospital, and orphanages, while the original trained and went on missions around the village with his team during the day, while Akane trained him in his mindscape at night, and occasionally running from hordes of fangirls all wanting to date him, marry him, have his babies, or just plain strap him down and ride his meat pole. After there was an incident at the public bathhouse that ended up with him accidentally walking into the women's side wearing just a towel before freezing upon seeing the many women bathing, many of whom were kunoichi relaxing on their day off or after a mission, giving them a perfect view of his well-muscled body and 6-pack abs. Before a sudden gust of wind blew his towel away, revealing his not-so-little friend before he had to run for his life with a pack of half-naked women chasing after him, all wanting to ride his third leg, as it would be later known when rumors of his size spread later that day. Naruto also moved into his parents' compound with Anko and Hinata, which was an emotional experience when I saw all the pictures of them together, and the room that would have been his nursery if they hadn't died the night he was born. And after crying as Anko and Hinata just stood there holding, and Akane whispered soothing words to him through the mental link, he was able to overcome it. About a week after moving into his parents' house, Naruto had a party to celebrate his heritage being revealed and moving into his parents' house, where he invited the Hokage and his grandson Konohamaru, who had taken it up to calling him boss after Naruto knocked some sense into him. Literally, he actually punched on the top of his head when they first met, the clan heads and their children along with their senseis Anko-chan, Hinata-chan, and Iruka-sensei. The party nearly lasted all night. Sim, after having one too many drinks, told Naruto that she had chosen him as her alpha and would like to be with him, shocking everyone and confusing Naruto. The Hokage then explained it was an Inuzuka clan tradition that equates to marriage, shocking Naruto, who just turned to Anko and Hinata for help only for them to smile, and nod their heads, shocking him even further. After Naruto had recovered from his shocked state, he turned to Tsum and told her he would be honored, but he would have to go on some dates first to get to know each other better and see where things go from there. Tsum simply smiled before glomping Naruto and nuzzling his fast into her ample bosom. As the party ended, people started leaving in various states of drunkenness, either alone or with some. However, one pair who left together that shocked everyone was Irika and Kurenai. It would later be found out that after leaving together and waking up naked in bed together the next morning, they would end up becoming a couple within the next 2 weeks. We now find Team 8 on a mission, hiding in the bushes stalking their target when a voice sounds in their headset. Snake, here is everyone in position. Sound off before each of them respond. Dino here in position, Naruto says from his bush. Swarm here ready to begin, Shino stoically responds from his spot. Moon Eyes here in position, Hinata answers from her position. Snake Aka Enko keys her headset. Roger that. Does target mock the description? Brown hair with a pink bow in it. Naruto keys his headset. Roger that. Snake, but I have an idea. Permission implemented. Permission granted. Dino, Swarm, Moon Eyes, get ready in case target makes a break for it. Roger. They both respond at once. Naruto reaches, activates one of the storage seals inside his trench coat, and out pops a scroll. He then opens the scroll before channeling some chakra into it, and out pops a large salmon. He grabs the fish before returning the scroll to the storage seal in his trench coat. He then walks out of the bush he was hiding in with the fish in his hand and walks towards the target, a cat with brown hair and a pink bow in it. However, this wasn't any cat, it was the cat that belonged to Lady Shimi, the wife of the fire daimyo. The cat's name was Tora and tended to run away from home 2 to 3 times a week and was insanely difficult to catch even for the village's Umbu, and due to this had been nicknamed the demon cat. Tora looks at Naruto as he walks over with a big juicy fish in his hand, is torn between running and staying to hopefully get the fish, but decides to stay and see how things play out. Naruto stops walking and looks at Tora before kneeling down and holding the fish out towards Tora. Hey there Tora, how about you come with me back to the Hokage Tower? I will give you this fish. Tora seems hesitant but ends up walking over Naruto and eating the fish before hopping into his arms and snuggling into his chest and purrs as he scratches her behind the ears. Enko, Hinata, and Shino look at him with wide eyes, or in Shino's case raised eyebrows, as he simply holds Tora the demon cat in his arms and pets her as she purrs before snapping out of their stupor and heading off to the Hokage Tower, meeting Kurenai on the way. They reach the Hokage's office and knock on the door before hearing come, and the 5 of them enter to see the Sandaime sitting behind his desk with Irika sitting off to the side organizing some mission reports. Enko steps up. Team 8 reporting capture. Tora mission success. Hokage-sama. The Hokage looks over and sees Tora snuggling into Naruto's chest and chuckles, very good. And in only 30 minutes a new record. He looks over to Irika. Irika, please have Lady Shimi come in now. Irika nods and keys the intercom before the doors open, and in walks a middle-aged woman wearing regal robes before seeing Tora and rushing over to Naruto, who hands Tora to her before she begins squeezing the poor cat into her chest. Oh Tora dear, mommy was so worried about you, she says to the struggling cat. Naruto sees this and speaks up. Excuse me Lady Shimi, but you are hurting Tora holding her like that, as he proceeds to show he how to hold Tora correctly and how to pet her before she begins purring in Lady Shimi's arms. Lady Shimi looks at Naruto before smiling. Thank you Naruto-kun once again of have helped me. Naruto just gives a grandiose bow before holding her hand and planting a kiss on her knuckles, causing everyone's eyes to widen and their jaws to hit the floor before he looks up at Lady Shimi and smiles. It was nothing milady. I was only doing what any gentleman would. Lady Shimi blushes a little before looking over at Enko and Hinata and back to Naruto. Are these girls the ones you speak of so often? Naruto-kun causing their eyes to widen before Naruto nods. Yes Lady Shimi, they are Enko Mitarashi and Hinata Hyuga, 2 of my fiancés. Lady Shimi smiles before turning to Enko and Hinata. You girls and the rest of his fiancés are the luckiest women on earth getting to be with Naruto-kun. He truly is one of a kind, and if I wasn't already happily married to my husband then I would ask him to marry me, she said, shocking everyone further before continuing. Also you have to ask him to give you a massage. They are the best there is, and the way he works his hands will make you melt, causing the Hokage and Irika to get blown back by nosebleeds and Enko, Hinata, and Kurenai to blush picturing. Naruto just rubs the back of his NECC and chuckles. Lady Shimi, I don't think saying that out loud in front of everyone is a good idea, it might cause a misunderstanding. Lady Shimi just giggles and covers her mouth with her sleeve. I have no idea what you mean Naruto-kun. I hope you come and visit soon. My husband misses talking and playing chess with you. Naruto smile. Of course Lady Shimi, please inform Hideo Dano that I look forward to meeting with him again, and if he is available would be able to do so during the month-long break in the Chunin exams. Lady Shimi smiles one last time before bidding them good day and leaving. As the doors close, Naruto turns to see everyone staring at him. Naruto raises an eyebrow and asks what? They face fault before asking what that was all about. Naruto chuckles. Well, when I went to see the fire daimyo about ways to increase the village's prosperity, I ended up taking a walk during one of the breaks during the meeting, when I noticed Lady Shimi standing on a balcony watching the clouds while leaning on the railing when it breaks and she begins to fall. I saved her and earning the thanks of the Fire Lord, shocking everyone with what he just said. Naruto notices the shocked look on their faces and chuckles inwardly. After the meeting we began leisurely chatting and playing chess. As Lady Shimi walked in I noticed her limping and cradling her arm like she hurt her shoulder, and asked what was wrong, and she said that she has been feeling stiff since the fall. I then asked the fire daimyo if I can see what is wrong with her, to which he nods, before I have her lay down the couch. I notice she has a lot of tension built up in her shoulders and legs and inform the fire daimyo, who asks what can be done. I tell him that with his permission I will have to give her a massage. He nods and I begin to work out the tension. Everyone's jaws nearly break through the floor, they drop so hard. Naruto just smiles. In the end I relieve her of the tension in her body before she grabs the fire daimyo and rushes off to their bedroom for the next 2 hours, and when they return she has a satisfied smile on her face and is glowing while the fire daimyo looks exhausted and asks me to teach him how to give massages like that. Everyone stands there speechless until Irika, the sandame, and the 2 male hidden umbu bow down at his feet and beg him to teach them his ways of manliness, while the 2 female hidden umbu beg him to give them massages, while Kurenai is just standing there with a glazed look in her eyes. Anko and Hinata have a look in their eyes that says you better give us massages when we get home tonight or else, causing him to chuckle. After a good 30 minutes everyone is back to normal and the sandane clears his throat. Naruto, you never cease to amaze. Now how about another mission? Teammate nods and Naruto says, hey Gigi, can we have a C-rank mission please? The Hokage thinks for a minute. Kurenai, Anko, what do you think? Are they ready for a C-rank? They both nod before Anko says, definitely. Naruto-kun could easily hand an A rank by himself, while both Hinata and Shino could probably handle a high C to low B rank mission add-in. Kurenai and myself, and we can easily handle up to a mid A rank. The sandame nods. Okay, your mission is to escort a bridge builder home to Nami no Kuni and guard him as he finishes the bridge he is building. Their teammate nods as the Hokage turns to Irika. Please send Tazuna-san. And Naruto's eyes widen at hearing this before the door opens, and in walks a man with grey hair that appears to be in his mid-40s to early 50s, drinking from a jug of sake. As he looks over the people before he says, I hire ninja, and get this is what I get: 2 women that look they can be models, a kid with glasses that looks like he might be sick, a girl who appears to be blind, and a blonde who he stops when his eyes land on Naruto before smiling. Well, I'll be damned, Naruto, aren't you a sight for these old eyes? Naruto just chuckles. It's good to see you again, Tazuna, you old drunk, shocking everyone as it appears Naruto and Tazuna know each other. Silence. The room was in complete silence after hearing that Naruto and Tazuna knew each other. After about 5 minutes of awkward silence, the Hokage finally asked the question of everyone's mind minus Naruto and Tazuna. Naruto, how is it that you and Tazuna know each other? Naruto just rubs the back of his head before chuckling sheepishly. Well, Gigi, it's actually a pretty funny story. You see, about 4 years ago I kinda may have left the village one night to train in some of the more noticeable techniques of my bloodline while Anko-chan was on that month-long mission that required her specific set of skills. After a few seconds of letting what Naruto just said sink in, everyone asterisk minus Tazuna asterisk yelled at the same time, you did what? Which was heard all throughout the village. After regaining his recovering from nearly going deaf due to how loud everyone yelled, Naruto just chuckled. Like I said, I left the village to train in the more noticeable techniques of my bloodline. While training I noticed Tazuna here getting harassed by some bandits, and went to help him. After dealing with the bandits he thanked me, before I offered to escort him back to his house in order to make sure it didn't happen again. And after escorting him home and meeting his family I left and returned to the village. Once he was done the Hokage merely rubbed the bridge of his nose and muttered, I'm really too old for this kind of shit. He then turned to Naruto and looked at him seriously. Naruto, please don't ever pull a stunt like that again. And besides, how did you even leave the village? All the gates have guards watching them. Naruto chuckles. Well, I may have just slipped right by the gate guards since they were sleeping. I think it was Izumo and Kotetsu, he says before he notices a tick mark appear on the Hokage's forehead before he turns to Irika. Irika, please remind me to assign Izumo and Kotetsu to clean the Akimichi sewer system for the next month please. Everyone who knew what that specific mission was shuddered as their faces turned green. He then turns back to teammate. Okay teammate, you have your mission dismissed. Teammate nodded before leaving the tower with Tazuna. Once outside, Kurenai turns to teammate. Okay, meet at the southern gate in 30 minutes. Pack for a month-long mission. Anko and the rest of the team nod before going to pack. 30 minutes later, teammate gather at the southern gate with Tazuna before setting out towards Nami no Kuni, and I think that's what it's called. As they were walking, Naruto notices Tazuna drinking from his jug of sake and decides to speak up. Hey Tazuna, please refrain from drinking until we get to your house. If you do, I will give you a few bottles of this. He then pulls out a large bottle of sake from one of the storage seals within his trench coat. Tazuna's eyes nearly jump out of his head when he sees what Naruto is holding before stuttering out, is that what I think it is? Naruto smirks before nodding his head. Yep, it's Kitsune's Ambrosia brand sake. After he says this, everyone stops walking and looks at him, while Anko and Kurenai look at the bottle drooling. Hinata then asks the question on everyone's minds, Naruto-kun, how did you get that? It's the rarest and most expensive sake in the entire elemental nations. Naruto just chuckles. Well, Hinata-chan, that's simple, I'm the one who invented and makes it. I thought it would be pretty obvious considering it's named Kitsune's Ambrosia. After all, this little piece of info made everyone's jaws drop so fast they made a small crater in the ground. Enko was the first one to recover before giving Naruto a sadistic smile. Oh, Naruto-kun, have you been holding out on me? I hope not, because if you have I will have to punish you, she says, causing Naruto to gulp. Well, Enko-chan, I was planning on surprising you with a year's supply for your birthday along with all you can eat Naruto's special dango, he says, hoping to calm his angry fiancé. At hearing what Naruto had just said, Enko lets out a very out-of-character squeal and glomps Naruto. Oh, Naruto-kun, you're the greatest fiancé there is. I might just have to give you a reward later. Enko then looks over at Hinata before winking at her. Of course, Hinata-chan will be joining us too. After all, she is your fiancé too, which causes Naruto to blush slightly, and Hinata blush atomically. Shino to adjust the collar of his coat so it hides more of his face. Kurenai blushes slightly, picturing what that might look like before quickly shoving said thoughts away, thinking I shouldn't be thinking such things. I'm not a pervert, let alone a closet pervert. And oh, poor Kurenai, just keep telling yourself that. Q evil chuckle Irika, you lucky bastard. While all this was happening, Tazuna stood there trying to process what he had just heard before asking Naruto what did she mean by her and Hinata being your fiancés. Naruto chuckles. Well, due to be the last male of 2 clans, and having a never before seen bloodline, I have to take multiple wives. However, that doesn't mean I will just marry anyone. I will only marry someone if both of us truly love each other. When Naruto had finished, Tazuna was kneeling on the ground drawing circles in the dirt, mumbling something along the lines of damn lucky bastard before Shino patted his shoulder and just nodded before they continued on their way. After walking for a while, Naruto notices a strange puddle in the middle of the road and looks to Enko and Kurenai, who nod. As they pass the puddle, it erupts. 2 people jump out wearing breathing masks, gray cloaks and pants, and clawed gauntlets on their hands connected by a chain. Before running and wrapping the chain around Kurenai and Enko, 2 down, they say as they pulled the chain, ripping Kurenai and Enko to shreds. Before looking to Naruto, who has a pair of kunai drawn, Shino, who is already releasing some of his bugs, and Hinata, who is in her clan's taijutsu stance with her Byakugan active. 4 to go, they say before charging the group. Naruto turns to Hinata and Shino. Hinata, Shino, defensive positions around Tazuna. I will deal with them. Hinata and Shino and take up defensive positions around Tazuna. As Naruto turns back to the 2 ninja in front of him. Now, where were we? Oh, we were at the point where I proceed to kick your asses before taking those fancy gauntlets of yours and shoving them up your asses, he says with a smirk before charging at them. The 2 enemy ninja are furious at what this little brat just said and charge and wildly intending on ripping him to shreds before they feel an intense pain in their legs and the jaws of 2 reptile-like creatures whose heads are sticking out the ground before they trip, and said creatures burst from the ground, landing on the 2 ninjas' backs and sinking their claws and pinning them to the ground. Naruto just looks at them before smirking and saying, you can come out now, Enko-chan, Kurenai-sensei, as Enko and Kurenai appear from their hiding spot in the trees, and Enko says, geez, Naruto-kun, it's no fun hiding from you anymore, you're too good at finding me. Naruto just chuckles. Well, I have had lots of practice of the years, Enko-chan, before he turns to the 2 ninjas currently pinned under his raptor clones as he had taken to calling them. Now, what are the demon brothers of the Hidden Mist village doing way out here, and considering that you are missing means it can't be anything good. The now named demon brothers look up at Naruto before saying, we were hired to kill the bridge builder, but we weren't told he had hired ninjas from Konoha. Naruto just smiles. Well, that's bad news for you, cause you see, Tazuna just so happens to be a friend of mine, and one of the things I can't stand the most is when people try to hurt my friends, so give me one good reason why I shouldn't just feed you to my friends that are keeping you pinned right now, he says with a sadistic smile which causes the demon brothers to gulp. Well, you could kill us, or you could send us back to village where we could be interrogated and possibly have info that could benefit Konoha, they say, trying to save their asses. However, Naruto just smiles. Well, I could do that, but I think I will put it to a vote, and turns to the rest of the group. So who thinks should send them back to Konoha? Shino raises his hand. Naruto notices this and nods. Okay, now who thinks I should just kill them? At this, the rest of the group raises their hands and Naruto smirks before turning back to the 2 demon brothers who are shaking in fear. Well, it seems we have reached a decision. He then looks at the 2 raptor clones and says, you know what to do, just make it quick and painless. They deserve at least that. The raptor clones nod before lowering their jaws. The demon brothers' necks. Naruto then turns to the rest of the team and Tazuna. Well, now that that's taken care of, let's be on our way, and Tazuna can tell us why he lied about the mission, which causes Tazuna to gulp. As they resume their journey to Wave, Tazuna explains to the groups how Wave is currently being ruled by a tyrant named Gato, and how he came in 6 months ago, took over Wave and proceeded to bleed it dry economically with a naval blockade, while killing anyone who opposed him. Tazuna then went on to explain how he is building a bridge to connect Wave to Hai no Kuni so that they could open trade with them, and without having to worry about Gato's blockade. As Naruto heard all this, he got madder and madder before finally saying, Tazuna, I swear that by the time you finish the bridge and we leave, Gato will be dead by my hands. I'm going to show that little sack of shit what happens when you mess with my friends. Tazuna just looks at Naruto before a few tears come to his eyes. Thank you, Naruto. They then hitch a ride on a small boat owned by one of Tazuna's friends before reaching a lake. The bushes rustle and out jumps a white rabbit which raises red flags in Anko and Kurenai's minds while Naruto just thinks that rabbit looks familiar. I wonder however before he can think on it further he hears Kurenai and Anko yell get down, and he does as a large Zanbato goes sailing over them before getting stuck in a tree, and a tall shirtless man with bandages around his mouth, wearing black and white camouflage pants, and spiky black hair stands on its hilt. The man looks over the group and chuckles well if Konoha's Genjutsu mistress Kurenai Yuhi, Snake mistress Anko Midarashi, and Abirame, a Hyuga, and he says before stopping when he says Naruto can laughs out loud well I'll be damned is that Yugaki, it sure has been a while and you seem to have grown a bit since I last saw you. Everyone turns to look at Naruto who just rubs the back of his neck sheepishly and chuckles I thought we would probably run into you after we ran into the demon brothers. It's been a while hasn't it Zabuza he says shocking them further Zabuza just laughs again that it has Gaki, that it has. Silence once again there was complete silence like back in the Hokage's office after Team 8 just found out that Naruto knew Zabuza for a whole 5 minutes no one said a word until Anko decided to voice what was on the mind of everyone in Team 8 minus Naruto Naruto-kun would you mind telling us how you know Zabuza Momochi she says in a sickly sweet voice that promised pain if Naruto didn't answer. Naruto just rubbed the back of his neck sheepishly well you know how I said I saved Tazuna and then left to return to the village Team 8 nods well I may have run into Zabuza here being cornered by some hunter Nin from Kiri, and saved him he said causing everyone to sweat drop. Everyone just looks at him like he has grown a second head before Kurenai just face palms and says Naruto we are going to have to tell the Hokage about your actions when we get back to the village. Naruto just nods and turns back to Zabuza so Zabuza I take it that Gato hired you to kill Tazuna Zabuza just nods Naruto just sighs that's what I thought, you do know that Gato will no doubt betray you and refuse to pay you if you kill Tazuna right? Zabuza nods his head yeah I got that feeling from him when he hired me. He doesn't seem like the kind of person to pay people when they work for him, so what do you want to do? Naruto thinks for a minute is Haku around here somewhere Zabuza nods well have her come on out there is no use in her hiding anyway Zabuza just gives a signal and a young woman wearing a blue battle dress and a Kiri Hunter Nin mask appears next to him. The now named Haku removes her mask revealing a beautiful young woman hello Naruto it's been a long time causing Naruto to smile. That it has Haku he says before turning to Zabuza so Zabuza how about this you and I spar kenjutsu only. Before you go back to Gato and tell him you failed then in 1 week we meet at the Tazuna's bridge and fight until Gato shows up with a group of mercenaries which he probably will and reveal his betrayal of you in which we take care of him before going to his mansion and stealing all his money after hearing this everyone's eyes are wide. Zabuza laughs you got a deal Gaki let's see your skills he then grabs Kurachikobo and gets into a stance, however his jaw hits the ground when he sees the sword Naruto is holding. In his hand is a 6-foot-long nodachi with a black blade and handle Zabuza just looks at the sword before managing to say is that the sword I think it is? Naruto just chuckles if you think this sword is Masamune then you would be correct the same sword that once belonged to the Red Death of Konoha, Kushina Uzumaki who just so happens to be my mother he says with a sadistic smile. Zabuza just gulps and sums up the situation in just 2 words well shit before he charges a swinging his blade which Naruto easily blocks before pushing him back and making him off balance. Naruto takes advantage of this charging forward and swinging Masamune diagonally making a shallow gash on Zabuza's chest before jumping back to avoid a slash aimed at his arm. Naruto chuckles looks like I got first blood Zabuza causing Zabuza to laughs impressive Gaki not many have been able to draw first blood on me he says before charging back at Naruto who meets him halfway and locks blades with him. Meanwhile Team 8 watches on in amazement as Naruto clashes with Zabuza and his winning Kurenai turns towards Anko and asks Anko just how strong is Naruto cause this for a genin let alone a 13-year-old boy to be able to fight someone like Zabuza Momochi is just insane. Anko just chuckles at Kurenai's question Kurenai you don't know the half of it Naruto is toying with Zabuza. In all the years we trained together other than the first few months I have never seen him go all out, but if I had to guess he mostly likely stronger than the Sandame was during his prime and the Yandame during the Third Shinobi War combined she says causing Kurenai's jaw to drop. Kurenai just shakes her head surely you're exaggerating Anko, I mean yeah Naruto must be strong but stronger than both the Sandame and Yandame that just doesn't seem possible she says hoping that she is right. Anko just shakes her head I wish I was Kurenai but considering that Naruto can make thousands of shadow clones and has been using them to train every day for the past 8 years, and that's not including the training the Kyuubi has been giving him for the past 8 years, makes it hard to believe otherwise. I will say this though may Kami have mercy on the person who makes him go all out cause I'm sure he won't she says shocking Kurenai even more while scaring her a little at the thought of Naruto going full out after hearing this. Anko and Kurenai turn back to see Zabuza panting with numerous shallow cuts all over his body and Naruto not even winded and uninjured. Naruto looks at Zabuza. Hey Zabuza, how about one more attack and we call it quits for now? Zabuza just nods his head before charging at Naruto, who just slips into a stance before whispering Gatling stab and stabbing his sword back and forth in a rapid fashion. Think Luffy's Gum Gum Gatling from One Piece but with a sword, and you get the picture, while making sure to avoid all of Zabuza's vital points. Zabuza falls to the ground with shallow stab wounds covering his body and laughs. Damn Gaki, that was one hell of an attack. Good thing you weren't trying to kill me or I would be dead. Naruto chuckles. Yeah, I have been working on it for some time now and just finished it about a week ago. This is actually the first time I have used it in a fight. Zabuza laughs. Gaki, you keep up the way you are and you're going to be the best swordsman in the elemental nations before you're 20 at this rate, which causes Naruto to chuckle. Haku then walks over and picks Zabuza up. We will see you in a week, Naruto, before leaving in a water shushin. Naruto then seals Masamune in the storage seal on his wrists, and looks at teammate who just stand there stupefied by his skills, causing him to chuckle. Well, now with that out of the way, how about we go to your house, Tazuna? I'm kind of hungry, and Tsunami's food is delicious, he says, snapping everyone out of their states before they continue on to Tazuna's house. After walking for about 30 minutes they reach Tazuna's house and he knocks on the door, before it opens, revealing a beautiful woman in her mid-20s with the hourglass body and D-cup breasts, wearing a blue kimono that tightly hugs or curves. Opens the door. Hello, who's there? She then notices Tazuna. Otasan, you're home safe, she says before hugging him. Tazuna chuckles. Yep, and it's all thanks to the super ninja from Konoha, he says, gesturing to teammate who wave. Tsunami bows before she spots one person in particular, and hugs him. Naruto-kun, it's great to see you. She then takes in his appearance and blushes slightly. And you have grown so much. Naruto chuckles. It's good to see you again, Tsunami. You haven't aged a day in the past 4 years, and are still as beautiful as the day I met you, he says. Tsunami blushes. Oh, where are my manners? Everyone please come in, dinner will be ready shortly. Teammate enters the house and sits down, and relaxes as Tsunami goes back into the kitchen, and Naruto going to help her. Enko then turns to Tazuna. How does Tsunami know Naruto-kun? I mean, yeah, he stayed with you guys for a few days, but they seem too close for that, she says with a raised eyebrow. Tazuna takes a swig of the Kitsune's ambrosia sake that Naruto had given him when they entered the house before turning serious. A few days before Naruto left, Tsunami was out in the woods when a couple of bandits showed up and tried to rape her. However, Naruto was nearby and heard Tsunami yelling and rushed to save her and knocked out the bandits before they could rape her, and brought her back home, where he told me what happened and told me he would be back. Everyone had wide eyes as Tazuna told them the story behind Naruto and Tsunami being so close. As Tazuna continued the story for the next 12 hours, Naruto was gone, and all we heard were the screams of the bandits. When he came back, I asked what happened to the bandits. He simply said they won't be hurting anyone ever again. I set my compis on them. I asked what he meant by that, and he told me about some of his bloodline, and showed me what a compi was, and I asked what's so bad about that. He then said, imagine a pack of them slowly tearing you apart tiny bite by tiny bite, and eating you alive. Everyone pales and shudders. Tazuna continues. Yeah, I had the same reaction. He then asked me to keep all of this from Tsunami, which I agreed. I then asked him why he killed them in such a brutal way, and he said there are a few things I have zero tolerance for, and rape/attempted rape is one of those things, and anyone who dares to do/try such a thing will die the same way. Especially if they try it to someone as kind and caring as Tsunami. He then walked upstairs to make sure Tsunami was okay, and when I went to check up on her later, she was asleep in his arms, and he said that she had cried herself to sleep. A few days later, after making sure Tsunami was alright, Naruto left and returned to Konoha, and about a few months after that I realized that Tsunami had developed a crush on Naruto. Teammate was shocked that there was such deep reason behind the relationship between Naruto and Tsunami. Enko and Hinata looked at each other, sharing a look that said we know what we must do, before nodding. Tsunami and Naruto then walked out of the kitchen with plates of food for everyone and sat at the table when the door opened, and in walked an 8-year-old boy wearing overalls and a hat. Tsunami looked up. Inari, you're just in time for dinner, and your grandfather is home. The now named Inari looks up and sees Tazuna and runs over and gives him a hug. Welcome home, Gigi, I'm glad you okay. Tazuna ruffles the boy's hair. I miss you, Inari, and I got home safely thanks to these super awesome ninja I hired. Inari looks over and sees teammate before scoffing until he says Naruto and goes wide-eyed. Naruto and I, is that you? Naruto smiles before nodding. Yep, I'm back, little bro, and here to help Wave get rid of its midget problem, if you know what I mean, causing Tazuna and teammate to laugh and Tsunami to giggle. Inari runs over and hugs Naruto before crying, and Naruto just hugs him back, letting him let it all out before Inari falls asleep in his arms, and Naruto creates a shadow clone to take Inari upstairs and tuck him into bed before turning to Tazuna, and a serious look enters his eyes. What happened to Inari while I was gone, Tazuna? When I left he was a happy young boy full of sunshine, now he seems broken inside. Tazuna just sighs and tells Naruto what happened with Kaiza, how Inari saw him as a hero, how Kaiza stood up to Gato, how Gato had him publicly executed, and Inari saw the whole thing, and by the end the look in Naruto's eyes turned from serious to downright murderous, and he said to Zuna, I'm not leaving Wave until I rip Gato limb from limb before ripping him in half. Nobody, and I mean nobody, hurts my little bro and gets away with it before he gets up and walks outside, leaving everyone to their thoughts before Anko gets up and follows him. Once outside, Naruto begins destroying the forest until he senses Anko near him and sighs, I should have come back sooner. If I did, then Inari wouldn't have had to go through something like that. Anko just wraps her arms around him and hugs him from behind. There was no way you could have known something like that would happen, Naruto, so you have no reason to blame yourself. What's important is that you're here now, and that's what matters, because by killing Gato you can prove to him that there are still heroes in this world, she says as she kisses the top of his head. Naruto turns around and hugs Anko back. Thank you, Anko-chan, you always know what to say to cheer me up, he says before he gives her a quick kiss on the lips. Now let's go back, everyone is probably worried about us, he says before he and Anko head back to the house. When they reach the house, Naruto lets everyone know he is feeling better before heading upstairs to go to sleep, and Anko looks to Hinata before they nod their heads and look at Tsunami. Tsunami-san, can Hinata and I have a word with you? Tsunami nods her head before following Anko and Hinata outside to sit on the porch. The next day, Naruto wakes and head downstairs to help Tsunami make breakfast and notices everyone besides her is out of the house. He pays it no mind and goes to help Tsunami. Good morning, Tsunami, would you like some help with the dishes? Tsunami turns around to see Naruto and blushes slightly. Good morning, Naruto-kun. And yes, that would be nice, she says. Naruto helps her make breakfast. Tsunami then sets down the dish she was drying and turning to Naruto, Naruto-kun, there is something I need to tell you. Naruto stops washing the dish he had in his hands, dries his hands and turns to Tsunami. What is it, Tsunami? You can tell me anything. Tsunami takes a deep breath to calm herself. Naruto-kun, 4 years ago you saved me from those men, and for that I will be forever grateful to you. In a few months I realized I had a slight crush on you. However, I thought it was nothing more than a case of hero worship and tries to forget about it. However, as time went on the crush just got stronger, and it felt like a part of my heart was missing. However, then you came back and I felt like the missing piece of my heart had returned, and I realized that I love you, she said, shocking Naruto. Naruto just looked at Tsunami. Tsunami, I won't lie, you really surprised me with what you just said, and your confession was absolutely beautiful. And you are a beautiful woman that any man would be lucky to be in a relationship with you, but there is something you need to know about me that might change the way you feel about me, he says. Naruto was about to continue, but Tsunami cuts him off. I already know about you being the container of the Kyuubi, and having to take multiple wives, Naruto, and I don't care that you hold the Kyuubi. Even if you were the Kyuubi itself, that wouldn't change the way I feel about you. And about you having to take multiple wives, it doesn't bother me at all, because I'm positive that if anyone would be able to treat each wife with respect and treating each wife equally, it would be you. That's how big your heart is and how much love you hold within it, she says, shocking Naruto. Naruto just processes everything she just said before realizing, but how do you know about the Kyuubi and me having to take multiple wives? The only way you would know that is if he and realizes it was Anko and Hinata, wasn't it? They realized your feelings for me and wanted to make sure they were genuine, didn't they? Tsunami just nods. Yes, last night they confronted me about my feelings for you, and after I told them, they told me about you being the container of the Kyuubi and having to take multiple wives due to being the last of your clans. I said I didn't care, and that as long as you treated each of your wives equally, I am fine with sharing. They then said that you currently have 4 fiancés including themselves, and that I had their blessing to be with you if you accepted my feelings. Naruto just smiles. I won't lie, Tsunami, I am attracted to you. Not only are you beautiful on the outside, but you're also beautiful on the inside. You are caring, kind-hearted, gentle, and whenever you smile it radiates a loving warmth that only someone who is not only pure of heart but also pure of soul can radiate. And I would not only love to but also be honored to have you as one of my fiancées and future wives, while having Inari as a son in the future. A tear of joy began to form in the corners of Tsunami's eyes with each word Naruto says and trailed down her cheeks before Naruto reaches up and wipes them away and cups her cheek with, and smiling, Naruto then leans in and kisses her on the lips lovingly, causing her to melt into the kiss and wrap her arms around his neck, pulling him closer to her. They stay this way, just basking in each other's presence until the need for air, and they break the kiss. Naruto stares into Tsunami's eyes lovingly, and she stares back before he hugs her to his chest, feeling her warmth against him as she snuggles deeper into his chest, taking in his scent. Naruto just holds her tighter. Tsunami, let's wait till after Gato is taken care of to tell Tazuna and Inari about us. It would make for a nice surprise. Tsunami just nods. Also, when this is taken care of, I would like for you and Inari for come live with me in Konoha. I have more than enough room in my house and would feel a lot better knowing my fiancé/future wife and future stepson would are safe and nearby. Your father can come too if he wants. Tsunami just stands there shocked before smiling and nodding. Of course, Naruto-kun, I would love to, and Inari would love to live with his future father, and THRE are probably plenty of kids for him to make friends with. Naruto smiles before kissing her on the lips again. I look forward to our beautiful future together, as a family, my loving Nami-chan, he says, looking into her eyes. Tsunami smiles before saying as do I my loving and future husband Naruto and giving him a quick peck on the lips before they go back to cleaning dishes. Later in the day the rest of Team 8 and Tazuna return home from working on the bridge to find Tsunami smiling and humming a happy tune as Naruto helps her get dinner ready, which confuses most of the team except for Anko and Hinata, who realize that she must have told Naruto about her feelings for him and he returning them, which causes them to smile. The week passes and the day arrives for Team 8 to meet Zabuza on the bridge, and they head out to meet with Zabuza and wait for Gato to arrive, but not before Naruto makes a dozen shadow clones to watch over Tsunami and Inari. When they get to the bridge they find Zabuza and Haku waiting for them. Zabuza smirks at seeing Naruto, and Team 8 arrive about time you showed up Gaki, we have been waiting here for over an hour. Naruto just smiles back, sorry Zabuza, we wanted some breakfast before we take out the trash. Oh, and here he tosses them each a bento, thought you might be hungry, now what do you want to do till the little rat shows up? Zabuza smiles as before eating the bento, well we could have another spar but I would rather save my energy for dealing with the backstabbing little bastard if that's okay with you, so how about we create some clones to fight it out while we just relax? Naruto nods before he and Zabwa each create a clone and have them fight. He then turns towards Zabuza and pulls out a deck of cards up for some poker while we wait. Zabuza just chuckles, you're on Gaki and you're going down. I may not be able to beat you in Kenjutsu but I will wipe the floor with you in poker, he says before Naruto deals the cards. 1 hour later and Zabuza losing every hand of poker, they hear the sound of a large group of people walking on the edge of the bridge and look over to see Gato standing there with 300 thugs carrying various weapons. Gato looks at the scene before him and fumes. Zabuza, what the hell is the meaning of this? I hire you to kill the bridge builder and the ninja guarding him and instead you're playing cards with them. Zabuza just laughs, don't be surprised Gato, I knew all along that you were never going to pay me, so I had a contingency plan in case such a thing happened. Gato is furious before yelling to his men, kill them all but leave the women alive, they will provide some fun later on, before suddenly the temperature plummets and Gato looks at Naruto whose bangs are covering his eyes. Naruto shakes in rage, Zabuza, no matter what do not interfere with what's about to happen or I will kill you, is that understood, he says in a voice that sends shivers down everyone's spines. Zabuza just nods, scared shitless of Naruto at the moment. Naruto then turns towards Gato and his thugs before rolling up the sleeves of his trenchcoat, revealing a pair of storage seals, and bites his thumbs before swiping his blood over them. He looks at Gato with pure murder in his eyes and says, Gato, you oppressed the people of Wave, killed a man you was a hero to, a boy I consider my little brother in all but blood, and then threaten not only 2 of my fiancées but also another woman who is like a older sister to me with rape. There is no forgiveness for your crimes. You and every man you brought with you here today will die by my hands. However, you should feel honored, know that you're the first to witness this technique, Saurian Soul. Raptor Swarm. After saying the name of the technique the storage seals on his arms glow before there is a cloud of smoke. When the smoke clears, standing on the bridge are 500 of Naruto's raptor clones just waiting for him to give the command. Naruto raises his arm in the arm before swiping it down and saying, kill them all but leave Gato alive. He is mine. What happens next can only be described as a bloodbath. The raptors tear into Gato's thugs like a tornado in a trailer park. Sorry, the only comparison I could think of to describe the carnage. Blood and body parts fly everywhere. The swarm tears the thugs to shreds, leaving only Gato alive, who is paralyzed in fear. When the raptors are done, all that's left of Gato's men are piles of severed limbs and shredded torsos. Naruto then walks up to Gato, who begins to beg for his life and asks for mercy, to which Naruto scoffs, sorry, all out of mercy for people like you. All I have in stock is this Saurian style dual T-Rex execution. Before a shadow clone appears next to him, and they both change into his T-Rex Dino form and biting Gato, who is trying to crawl away on the leg, causing him to scream as Naruto flings his head up and releasing Gato, who cartwheels up before falling down, where both Naruto and his shadow clone both catch him in their mouths, half of him in each, as he screams in pain before they rip him in half and throw his severed halves over the edge of the bridge before the shadow clone dispels and he changes back to normal. Naruto spits out Gato's blood that was still in his mouth and says, good riddance, and may you burn in hell for all of eternity, you miserable bastard, before turning to see the shocked faces of his team, Tazuna, Zabuza, and Haku, and asks what I said. I was going to rip him in half when I saw him, and I did. Why are you all looking at me like that? Prompting everyone to sweat drop. Naruto then looks at Zabuza. Hey Zabuza, think you could use a water jutsu to clean all this up? I sense the villagers on their way here and I doubt they want to see this carnage, to which Zabuza just nod and cleans the bridge of all the blood and body parts. Naruto walks over to his team just as a mob of Wave's villagers show up with makeshift weapons, with Inari leading them, to which he just smiles. Yeah, what's all this about? If you're looking for Gato, you just missed him. He ended up have an accident and fell to pieces, he says, causing those who knew what really happened to sweat drop. The villagers just look shocked before Inari says, you really mean it? Gato is dead? Naruto just nods. Inari runs up and hugs Naruto as the villagers start cheering. As Naruto hugs Inari, he sees Tsunami walking toward him and smiles as she comes up and kisses him on the lips, to the surprise of Kurinai, Tazuna, Inari, Zabuza, Haku, and the villagers before Naruto says I told you I would take care it. Tsunami just smiles. I never doubted you for a moment. Inari then looks at his mom before asking why she did that, which makes her smile. Well, Inari, Naruto and I confessed our feelings for each other, and have decided that you, me, and maybe your grandfather, if he wants to, will be moving to Konoha after the bridge is finished, where we will be living with Naruto, as I am going to be one of his wives, making him your stepfather, she says, shocking everyone who didn't already know. Inari looks at Naruto, who only smiles and nods before Inari hugs him again, saying "Tusan" over and over again, to which Naruto just hugs him tighter while repeating yes after each time he says it. That night, Wave celebrates their freedom with food, dancing, and drinks. The next morning, Naruto wakes up to find 3 women in bed with him. Enko is on his left, snuggling into the left side of his neck. Tsunami is on his right, doing the same as Enko, only on his right side, and Hyanta is sleeping on his chest, all 3 of them only wearing their underwear. Naruto smiles before just going back to sleep. Later that day, Naruto, Zabuza, and Haku go to Gado's base and take all his money and a deed to his shipping company, which Naruto signs over to himself. Zabuza takes half of Gado's money and leaves with Haku, saying they are going back to Kiri now that the civil war is over, while Naruto takes the other half and gives it to the people of Wave. Over the course of the month, Tazuna finishes the bridge and Naruto spends time relaxing and growing closer to his fiancées until it's time to leave. Naruto and the rest of Team 8 along with Tsunami and Inari stand at the end of the newly completed and named Great Naruto Bridge and look at the villagers and Tazuna, who had decided to stay in Wave. Naruto smiles. Well, I guess this is it, Tazuna, see you around. Oh, and check on the kitchen table, I left you a present. Tazuna nods before telling Naruto to take care of his daughter and grandson, to which Naruto agrees and they set off back to Konoha. Naruto looks at Inari and smiles. So Sochi, are you ready to head to your new home? Inari just nods. Good, and don't worry about making friends, I know a few kids who would love to be friends with you. Inari smiles. I'm not worried, Tusan, and I can't wait to see our new home, causing everyone to smile, while Enko, Hinata, and Tsunami think he will be a great father in the future, which causes them to blush at the thought of children with a combination of features belong to Naruto and themselves running around the house. Naruto meanwhile smiles and thinks, Akane-chan, our family keeps growing and I couldn't be happier. Akane just smiles from within the mindscape and says that it does, Kit, and I'm sure your parents are looking down on you with smiles on their faces at how poor they are with you. Naruto smiles and looks to the sky and swears he says his parents' faces smiling at him, and I'm sure they are, Akane-chan. I'm sure they are, before continuing towards Konoha with a smile on his face. Team 8, Tsunami, and Inari had arrived at Konoha and after checking in had went to the Hokage's office give their mission report on the mission to Wave. And after knocking on the door and being told to enter, they now stood in front of the Hokage. Enko and Kurenai snap off a quick salute. Team 8 reporting in on a successful mission to Wave. Hokage-sama, Enko says with a smile on her face. The Hokage just nods and tells them to proceed to give the mission report, not leaving anything out from leaving the village, encountering the demon brothers and finding out that Tazuna had lied about the mission details, continuing the mission, encounters Abuza and discovering he and Naruto knew each other, which causes Hiruzen to just shake his head and Naruto to chuckle. Arriving at Wave, meeting Zabuza at the bridge and them waiting for Gado to arrive, interrupted at this point and had Tsunami and Inari wait outside before continuing the report, and how Naruto slaughtered Gado and his men, recounting every single little bloody, gory detail, and by they finished the Hokage looked a little green, and the hidden Umbu had all rushed into the office's bathroom and were emptying the contents of their stomachs into the toilet, sink and shower. The Hokage looks at Naruto. Naruto, did you have to report every single detail about how you dealt with Gado, he asks. Naruto just nods his head. Yes, nobody messes with my precious people. And by reporting how I dealt with Gado and his men in all its graphic details, it will send a message to anyone who thinks about trying to hurt those precious to me, and that message is a murderous look enters his eyes before he says, try to hurt my precious people and I will tear you limb from limb before ripping you in half, in an emotionless voice, sending shivers down everyone's spines, while Hinata and Enko get a little turned on. Naruto then walks over to the door and tells Tsunami and Inari to come back in before the 3 of them return to standing in front of the Hokage, who looks at them. Now, who might you 2 be, he asks. Tsunami and Inari bow. My name is Tsunami and this is my son Inari, she says, causing the Hokage to smile. Naruto then holds Tsunami's hand and says, during the mission Tsunami and I were reunited due to her being Tazuna's daughter and us meeting when I saved him 4 years ago, and after talking Tsunami revealed her feelings for me and I accepted them because I felt the same way and have for the past 4 years, but thought they were one-sided, so never let anyone know about them. And she agreed to be one of my fiancées and future wives. While Inari would be my stepson, he finishes with a smile. Hiruzen just smiles. Well, congratulations Naruto and Tsunami, I wish the both of you along with Enko, Hinata, Tsum, and any other future wives the best for the future, he says, causing Naruto to smile while Enko, Hinata, and Tsunami blush. Naruto rubs the back of his and smiles. Thanks Gigi. But if we're done here I would like to head home and show Tsunami-chan and Inari around their new home, he says, to which the Hokage just nods his head and dismisses them before they leave. Once outside the Hokage's tower, Kurenai and Anko turn to the team and pull out some forms before Kurenai says the Chunin exams are in a week and we will be nominating the three of you. However, it is entirely your choice if you wish to compete. However, if you do decide to compete you need to fill out these forms and head to room 301 at the academy before handing each of them a form and leaving. Shino nods his head to his fellow teammates and leaves himself before Naruto turns to Tsunami and Inari. Now with the boring stuff out of the way, how about Anko-chan, Hinata-chan and myself show you two around the village before we head home, he says before Tsunami and Inari smile and nod. After showing Tsunami and Inari around the village, the group arrives at Naruto's house and the sheer size and elegance of it leaves Tsunami and Inari speechless. Naruto chuckles and shows them in and showing them around, before making dinner and showing them to their rooms and going to bed. A week had passed since Team 8 along with Tsunami and Inari had returned to Konoha, and Naruto had spent the week spending time with Tsunami, taking her out on dates and getting to know each other better. He had introduced Inari to Konohamaru and his friends Moegi and Udan. The four had become fast friends and Inari even developed a little crush on Moegi, which Naruto, Anko, Hinata, and his mother had enjoyed teasing him about. Naruto had also taken Anko, Hinata, and Sam out on a few dates as well, which consisted of all-you-can-eat Naruto's special dango with a bottle of Kitsune's ambrosia while relaxing on top of the Hokage monument watching the sunset. His date with Hinata consisted of a picnic in a field of flowers, and after Hinata tasted the cinnamon buns he had made for her she jumped into his arms and they just sat there for a while enjoying each other's warmth and presence. Naruto's date with Sam consisted of a heated game of tag in the forest of death followed by Naruto cooking a wild boar he had caught earlier that morning and them enjoying the meal and learning more about each other, and Sam telling Naruto about Kiba's reaction when she told him and her daughter Hana that she was engaged to him, which caused Naruto to laugh before he walked her home. Today was the day of the Chunin exams and Naruto along with Team 8 were on their way to the academy where the first test would take place when they turned the corner to see Konohamaru being held up by a boy wearing a black cat suit and a blonde girl with a large fan on her back. The blonde girl turns to the boy, "Come on Konohara, just let the kid go, we don't want to get in trouble." The now named Kankuro just tightens his grip on Konohamaru. "In a minute Temari, this little brat ran into me, and he's going to pay for it." The now named Temari just shakes her head before noticing Naruto and his team walking toward them. Naruto walks up to Kankuro. "Excuse me, Nico-chan, can you let him go? If you do I will give you some catnip," he says, causing Team 8 to chuckle while Temari giggles. Kankuro drops Konohamaru and looks at Naruto. "What the hell did you just say to me, you little punk?" he says with his eye twitching. Naruto just cleans his ear with his pinky before pulling out a small bag with some catnip in it. "I asked you let Konohamaru go, and if you did I would give a bag of catnip, Nico-chan. And because you were a good kitty and did as I asked, here is your reward," he says before tucking the bag of catnip into a pocket on Kankuro's shirt, causing everyone to break out in a fit of laughter minus Kankuro, of course. Kankuro nearly busts a vein and reaches to grab the object wrapped in bandages on his back. Temari notices this. "Kankuro, are you crazy? You can't bring Crow out here. You know what will happen if Gaara finds out," she says, trying to talk some sense into him. Kankuro just looks at her and says, "I don't care, Temari, this bastard thinks he can just insult me and get away with, well, I'm going to teach him a lesson," before he feels something cold and metal on his throat and looks down to see a kunai held to his throat and Naruto behind him holding its handle. Naruto chuckles. "Now Nico-chan, if you keep being a bad kitty I will have to punish you." His voice then takes an icy tone and added, "Not something you want me to do. Besides, I think your sandy friend in the trees is either disappointed in you or just mad. It's a little hard to tell." Kankuro freezes at hearing what Naruto just said before turning to see a red-haired boy with green eyes, a tattoo over his eye that reads love in kanji. On his back is a large gourd, and he is wearing a tan shirt and pants. Kankuro gulps. "Hey Gaara, we were just..." The now named Gaara interrupts him. "Kankuro, you are a disgrace to the village. Now shut up, or I will kill you." Gaara then turns to look at Naruto. "I apologize for my brother's actions. I am Sabaku no Gaara." Naruto smiles. "It's not a problem. I'm Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, by the way, and these are my teammates Hinata Hyuga and Shino Aburame," he says, gesturing to Hinata and Shino. "Are you competing in the Chunin exams too?" Naruto asks. Gaara nods his head. "Yes, my team, and I will also be participating." Gaara then grabs his head like he is in pain. "Mother says you are strong, Naruto. Killing you will prove my existence." He then looks to Temari and Kankuro. "We're leaving." The three then leave. Naruto stares at them as they leave before looking at Konohamaru. "Well, that was interesting. Now Konohamaru, run along." "Hinata-chan, Shino, and I have to get to the academy for the first exam." Konohamaru nods and leaves. Naruto turns to Hinata and Shino. "Come on, let's get going, we don't want to be late." Hinata and Shino nod before continuing on their way to the academy. As they're walking, Naruto thinks about his encounter with Gaara and how something felt off about him when he hears Akane get his attention. Naruto, be careful around that Gaara kid, he hold the Ichibi Tanuki Shikaku within, she says, shocking Naruto. Naruto nods his head. Are you sure, Akane-chan? Because if you're right, then we might have a big problem and something might be going on, because it seemed like he isn't able to sleep and Shikaku might be influencing him. And the fact that Suna would send an unstable Jinchuriki to another village and have him participate in the Chunin exam seems fishy. Akane just nods from within his mindscape. I know, and I'm positive that he holds the Ichibi. I can sense the Yuki in him, and his mastery over sand is a dead giveaway due to it being a trait that all of the Ichibi's hosts gain, and the fact that he can't sleep means his seal is either faulty or has been tampered with. Whatever the case, you should inform the Hokage as soon as possible, because I got a bad feeling that something really big is going to go down soon, she says, getting a nod from Naruto. Naruto creates a shadow clone and has him go inform the Sandaime of what he has discovered before turning to Hinata and Shino and letting them know what Akane had told him, shocking both of them before they continue on their way. With the Naruto clone. The clone had just arrived to the Hokage's office, surprising the Sandaime. Naruto, what are you doing here? Shouldn't you be on your way to the first exam? He asks. The clone nods. I'm just a clone, GG. The boss sent me here to inform you about some disturbing news that he came across about one of the genin from Suna that Akane confirmed, he says, shocking the Hokage. Hiruzen turns serious. What has he discovered? For him to have to inform me right away, it can't be good news, he says, before the look in the clone's eyes confirms his suspicions. The clone just nods his head. Indeed it is. The boss found out that Suna Genin Gaara no Sabaku is the holder of the Ichibi Tanuki Shikaku, and to make matters worse, the Biju seems to be able to influence Gaara quite heavily to the point that prevents Gaara from sleeping, which can only mean that either the seal holding the Ichibi is faulty or has been tampered with to give the Biju more control. And the fact that Suna sent him to another village for the Chunin exams, let alone an allied one, raises too many red flags, which the boss believes can only mean one thing: Suna plans to attack the village at some point during the Chunin exams, most likely during the final exam, whatever that may be he finishes. Hiruzen just nods grimly. This is very disturbing news, but based on the evidence you have provided, we must prepare for the worst case scenario. Naruto, do not tell anyone other than your teammates about this information. We can't have our possible enemies know that we know about their plans, or they might strike sooner. I will discuss what actions we shall take. The clone nods before dispelling, leaving the Hokage to his thoughts as he stares out the window. Naruto, once again you surprise me. This possible threat you have discovered might just save a lot of lives, and for some reason I believe that includes my own. Before he snaps out of his thoughts and tells his secretary to inform the clan heads for an emergency meeting. Naruto blinks as he receives the memories of his clone and tells Shino and Hyenta what he and the Hokage talked about, shocking them before they simply nod and enter to find the three genin arguing with some other genin about letting them pass so they can take the exam, and Naruto chuckles recognizing them. The first is girls wearing white top and brown shorts, and black shinobi sandals, and had two large scrolls on her waist. This was Tenten Higurahi, a weapons expert, and the only kunoichi of Team 9. The next was a boy with a bowl haircut and huge eyebrows, wearing a full-body green spandex jumpsuit, with orange arm and leg warmers. This was Rock Lee. Finally there was a boy with waist-length black hair, and pupilless white eyes that were signature to the Hyuga clan. He wore a whitish-gray shirt and pants. This was Niji Hyuga, Hinata's cousin. Naruto looks at them for a second before getting their attention. Hey Tenten, Niji, we come over here for a second, he says, surprising them before they walk over to him. Niji walks up to Naruto and bows. Hello Naruto-sama, how are you today? He asks, causing Naruto to sigh. Naruto just rubs the bridge of his nose. Niji, how many times have I asked you to not call me Naruto-sama? You know I don't like being called it, causing Hinata, Tenten, and Lee to laugh before he continues. Anyway, that's not room 301, it's room 201. The two guarding it are actually the Eternal Gate guards Izumo and Kotetsu. They placed a genjutsu on the sign to weed out the weaker applicants, he says, getting shocked looks from Team 9 as they realize he is right. Naruto then gains a sadistic smile. However, that doesn't mean we can't have a little fun with them, just play along, and you will see something really funny, he whispers before raising his voice so that everyone could hear him. Did you guys hear that all of the female Umbu had their panties stolen from their houses last night? Apparently they have been searching everywhere for the culprit. However, I told them that I saw the gate guards Izumo and Kotetsu leaving one of their houses late last night, and they have been looking everywhere for them. In fact, the only place I think they have left to look is this building, he says, causing a few people to chuckle. Meanwhile, Izumo and Kotetsu paled at hearing this, knowing that even though they didn't steal any panties, the female Umbu wouldn't believe that, and would still beat the shit out of them. So they decided to do what any sane man would do in their situations, run for their lives, and immediately dropped the genjutsu and ran. Naruto and everyone else in the room started laughing at this before walking up the stairs to the exam room, but just as they are about to enter, Naruto hears a familiar voice. Hello Naruto-kun, it's been a while. Naruto turns around to see a trio of genin from Kyuubi standing behind him and smiles recognizing them. The first is a tall 16-year-old redhead with dark skin and green eyes, wearing a white and gray battle dress that goes down knees, black socks that go up to her shins, black sandals and a white bandana. Strapped to her back is a sheathed katana. This person is Kyuubi. Next to her stands a 16-year-old boy with white hair, brown eyes, wearing a gray and white shirt, red pants with white X's on them, red socks, and black shinobi sandals. He had a sheathed katana strapped to his back and was sucking on a lollipop. His name is Omo. The final person, and the one that said hello to Naruto, was a 16-year-old girl with short blonde hair and blue eyes. She wore a gray open V-cut shirt that showed with a fishnet shirt underneath that showed of a decent amount of DD cup breasts, a gray skirt that went down to her mid-thigh, black socks that went up to her kneecaps, and strapped horizontally to her lower back was a sheathed tanto. This person was Samui and another of Naruto's fiancés. Naruto smiled at Kyuubi and Omo before turning to Samui and pulling her into a hug and kissing her on the lips. Surprisingly, Tenten, Shino, and Samui herself a little before she closed her eyes and led into his embrace, kissing him back. When they broke apart, Naruto smiled as he stared into her beautiful blue eyes. "I missed you, my queen of cool," he said, causing her to blush a little. Samui recovers from her blush and smiles. "And I missed you, my king of heat," she says before kissing his cheek. Tenten, who had just recovered from her shock at Naruto and Samui's public display of affection, or PDA, then asked the question that was on the minds of everyone who didn't already know how Naruto and Samui knew each other. Naruto, what's all this? And how do you know these Kyuubi ninja?" she says, gaining nods from Shino and Lee. Naruto chuckles. "Well, Tenten, I'm old friends with Kyuubi and Omoy, and Samui here is one of my fiancés," he says, gaining another shocked look on the faces of those who didn't already know. Naruto, seeing this, chuckles and decides to explain how Samui became one of his fiancés. "It all started with Hinata's attempted kidnapping when we were 5 by the Kyuubi ambassador. I was the one to save Hinata-chan that night. However, it turned out that the ambassador was actually a Kyuubi shinobi given a mission by the village's council behind the Raikage back to gain the Byakugan," he says, shocking everyone who didn't know the full details of that night. Naruto smiles and continues, "Well, after I saved Hinata-chan, and the Sandaime informed the Raikage of what had happened, the Raikage was pissed and immediately took care of Kyuubi's council, before sending a letter back to him with his apologies for what had happened, and letting him know that he would be coming to the village to discuss how to deal with the aftermath of the attempt, along with wanting to meet the boy who was able to take down one of his joinin at such a young age." Naruto takes a breath before continuing. "A week later, the Raikage showed up along with Samui, Kyuubi, and Omo met with the Hokage and myself to discuss reparations. When the Raikage saw me, he immediately recognized me as the son of the Yondaime, who was his rival in speed and one of his closest friends after the end of the Third Shinobi War. Came up with a way to not only cover the aftermath of the kidnapping attempt but also strengthen ties between our villages." Naruto takes another deep breath before continuing. "He proposed an arranged marriage between Samui-chan and myself. However, I told him that I would not marry unless it was out of love, and would not force Samui-chan into a marriage with someone she just met, which shocked her that someone she just met would fight for her happiness. However, Samui came up with the idea for us to get to know each other first, and if we ended up falling in love with each other, then we would get married. So for the week that the Raikage was here, the two of us got to know more about each other, before she left." Everyone is enthralled with Naruto's story as he continues. "After she left with the Raikage, Kyuubi, and Omoy, we communicated through letters, and would meet whenever the Hokage went to Konoha or the Raikage would come here. And over time we genuinely fell in love with each other and confessed our feelings to each other. Samui knew I would have to take multiple wives to restore my clans and at first was apprehensive about it, but after meeting Anko-chan and Hinata-chan and getting to know them, she fully accepted the fact on the condition that I love and treat each of my wives equally, and after informing the Hokage and Raikage of this, we were engaged to each other, and have been ever since, and after I turned 16 we along with the rest of my fiancés will be getting married," he finishes. Everyone is speechless as Naruto finishes his story. Naruto turns and gives Samui a quick kiss on the cheek. "Go ahead into the exam room, I will be right behind you, after I deal with a certain emo who is smugly making his hair like he is Kami herself." Samui and her team, realizing who Naruto is talking about, nod their heads and leave, not wanting to deal with the headache that is surely coming their way. Right after Samui and her team enter the exam room, a familiar group of people walk up the staircase, these people being teams 7 and 10, consisting of Kiba Inuzuka, the king of Amos himself, Sasuke Sasuke Uchiha, and the pink banshee Sakura Haruno, for team 7, and Ino Yamanaka, Shikamaru Nara, and Choji Akimichi of team 10. Sasuke sees Naruto and smirks smugly. Well, if it isn't the Dobe and his little team of weaklings, delusional much. He then sees team 9 along with more people to see the might of the Uchiha clan again, delusional much. Naruto just cleans his ear with his pinky before turning to Sasuke. "Did you say something?" All I heard was a duck quacking, causing Sasuke to clench his fists and grit his teeth. Meanwhile, in the Jonin lounge, Kakashi smiles proudly at his sensei's son following him in the ways of the hip cool attitude, while the other Jonin laugh at how Naruto dealt with the spoiled brat of an Uchiha, and Mado guy yells about Kakashi's hip cool attitude infecting the younger generation. Naruto then turns to Kiba. Hey Kiba, you still able to hear and have your anal virginity intact after being on a team with the Banshee and Sasuke, causing everyone to laugh except for Sasuke and Sakura, whose faces turn red with anger, and Sasuke clenches his fists tighter and grinds his teeth harder. Kiba finishes laughing. Yeah, thanks to the earplugs you gave me and Kakashi-sensei letting me sleep in his tent whenever we are on missions, I do. Naruto Otosan, he says, shocking everyone that didn't know Naruto and Kiba's mother Tsum were engaged. Naruto chuckles. Watch it, Sochi, don't make me have to bend you over my knee and give you a spanking in front of everyone. Which causes Kiba to pale at the thought, and everyone minus Sasuke and Sakura to laugh. As everyone laughed, a tall teen with silver hair and glasses wearing a gray shirt, green pants and sandals, and a Konoha hate walks up to the group and adjusts his glasses before saying, you may want to keep it down, there are a lot of teams here that would love to take out a bunch of green genins like yourselves. He then smiles creepily, which sets off a red flag in Naruto's head before he notices that this guy reeks of snakes, and considering there are only 2 people who can summon snakes and one of them is a traitor while the other his Anko-chan, it raises another red flag in his head. Kiba then speaks up. Well, who the hell are you, voicing the question on many of the genins' minds. The silver-haired teen just smiles. My name is Kabuto Yakushi, and like you I am here for the Chunin exams. I even have information on many of the people participating. Sasuke's eyes light up. I want information on the kid in the green spandex and Naruto Uzumaki. A little glint comes to Kabuto's eyes as he pulls out a stack of ninja info cards and channels chakra to one that is lab-led. Rock Lee. Okay, first is Rock Lee. He is a part of Team 9 under Mado Guy. His teammates are Niji Hyuga and Tenten Higurashi. He has been on 69 D rank, 24 C rank and 1 B rank mission. He is unable to use ninjutsu and genjutsu. However, his skills in taijutsu are at least low jonin levels. He finishes. Kabuto then smiles. Now I don't have any information on a Naruto Uzumaki. However, I do have information on a Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, he says, causing Sasuke to growl, and Kabuto to smirk before continuing. He is the only child of the Yellow Flash and Yandame Hokage Minato Namikaze, and his wife the Red Death Kushina Uzumaki. He is part of Team 8 under Karina Yuhi and Anko Midarashi. His teammates are Hinata Hyuga and Shino Abirame. He has been on 120 D rank mission, 1 C rank and 2 A rank. Sasuke seethes in anger at finding out that the Dobe has been on 2 A rank missions while he has only been on 1 C rank. Naruto grabs the card out of Kabuto's hand and looks at the info on it before another red flag is raised in his head at how detailed it is, and most of the info on it is only known to the Hokage. Before glaring at Kabuto, this is pretty detailed, especially the fact that one of those A-rank missions was only known to the Hokage and myself, and was classified in the Hokage's personal copy of missions, adding to the fact that the info on my skills, while not even cover a quarter of what I can actually do, is still more detailed than it should be, and much of the info on it is also classified, which no one other than the Hokage should have access to, let alone some random genin. Raises a lot of red flags. Kabuto gulps but is suddenly slammed into the wall and pinned there by Naruto, whose eyes turn murderous. Add to the fact that you reek of snakes and there are only 2 people who have the access to that specific summoning contract, one who is a traitor to the village, and the other who I know for a fact you have never been in contact with, makes me believe that you are a spy sent to this village to gain information for aforementioned traitor, he says, causing Kabuto's eyes to widen before Naruto knocks him out, seals his chakra with a seal tag, and tying him up, leaving everyone shocked. There is a cloud of smoke at the head of the exam room, and when it clears, a group of Chunin with clipboards and a tall scarred man wearing a long black trench coat are standing there. The man in black looks at the genin gathered and smirks before he notices Naruto standing over Kabuto. Genin Uzumaki Namikaze, what is the meaning of this, he says in a voice that sends shivers down the spines of all the genin minus Naruto. Naruto chuckles. Well, Ibiki and I was just minding my own business waiting for the exam to start with my team when Genin Kabuto Yakushi here came up and began handing out information on those gathered here to anyone who wanted it, and after the emo Uchiha asked for information on Rock Lee and myself, after which he revealed the stats of Rock Lee. Naruto takes a breath before continuing. However, he then went on to reveal some information about me, including that of how many missions I have been on along with what rank they were, some of which are only known to myself and the Hokage. I proceeded to take said info card and have a peek on it, which went on to reveal even more classified information that only the Hokage and myself are aware of. It raised more red flags. Not to mention he reeks of snakes. I concluded he must be a spy in the category of OS and subdued him by knocking him unconscious, sealing his chakra, and tying him up so that he may be interrogated. He finishes before smirking. However, if I knew you were going to be the one to give us the test, I also would have slapped a bow on him for you, he says. Ibiki chuckles, damn Naruto, you sure have been busy and good work on catching another traitor. He then signals and some Anbu arrive to take Kabuto away before he turns to everyone. All right, with that out of the way, take your seats, the first exam will be starting in 5 minutes. Everyone takes their seats to begin the exam and Ibiki goes over the rules. Exam is the same as canon except Samli's team also passes. 1 hour later, Ibiki has just given the 10th question and informed those who are left that they pass when the window breaks and a black ball flies through the air before attaching to the blackboard and opening, revealing a banner that says the incredibly sexy Anko Mitarashi / Soon To Be Uzumaki Namikaze is here underneath. That is a chibi drawing of Naruto and Anko with Naruto in a tuxedo, carrying Anko, who is in a wedding dress bridal style. However, Anko isn't standing next to the banner, she is sitting in Naruto's lap making out with him, causing many of the males in the room to suffer nosebleeds before Ibiki clears his throat, gaining Naruto and Anko's attention. Anko, you're early. Anko just gets up from Naruto's lap and pouts at having to stop making out with her foxy king and turns to Ibiki, sorry about that, was too excited. She then turns to the genin and smirks sadistically, alright, meet in front of training ground 44, also known as the Forest of Death, in 15 minutes. Or you fail, she says, causing many to gulp, and gets ready to leave before Naruto picks her up bridal style and begins to carry her out the window, much to the disappointment of Hinata and Samui, until Naruto creates a pair of shadow clones and has them carry them both bridal style and follow the original Naruto towards the Forest of Death, with the rest of the genin following them a few inches later after recovering from their shock.